the 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic here at Mira Mesa High School, here on the Cali Photo Sports Network. Bo Ferdig alongside my partner Tristan Lopez in the booth. We spent all PBR season. It's finally here, an all-star game. Many people thought football season was over, but it never ends with an all-star game.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Bo, man, seeing all these kids play throughout the year and finally getting some of the best talent around San Diego together for one last one to end the year is pretty amazing to see.
And it's 33rd year. I mean, there's a lot of tradition behind the Spanos Classic. North has won this contest the last 7 years, but South before that was on a 5-game winning streak. We were down on the field earlier. What were some of the things that stood out to you, Tristan?
Well, on paper, you see the South. A lot of kids just come to mind just on paper as far as talent and who are up for awards this year. But the North is really physical and they're really big. I think that's underestimated up there in the northern part of San Diego. They're rocking one quarterback, Carson Howard from El Camino. So we'll see what that does for them today. But the North and the South here should be a good matchup.
I've never seen an all-star game with only one quarterback, but here we are. There's also another all-star game, the McCossie Bowl, later tonight, and it's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, the North has only one quarterback, but it's their quarterback. The El Camino coaching staff, led by Michael Hobbs, the head coach. Joe Kim is their offensive coordinator, also coaches running backs. Nick Novak, the special teams coach. We caught up with him before the game. He talked about Trey Coleman. We'll get into that a little bit as well. QB position coach Shane Casey. Tom Baird is the wide receiver coach. Tanner Miller, the offensive line coach. Larry Ward, linebacker coach. Andrew Powpow, the D-line coach, along with Jason Taua and Billy Isles, the secondary coach. And on the other side, it's the La Jolla coaching staff. Coaching the South team, head coach Tyler Roach, Ryan Price, the defensive coordinator, Enrique Velez, linebackers, Nate Tafao, the linebackers coach, safeties coach Brandon Harrison, secondary coach Kyron Wilson and Chris Peterson. And you also have the linemen Eliza and Coach Hewley, Tommy Morris, the running backs coach, Chris Velez, the wide receivers coach, along with Larry Young, offensive assistant Chris Macy, Jerome Watson is the quarterbacks coach, and Kevin Hunt, the specialist. Talk about specialists. We talked to Nick Novak, and one of the bigger prospects out of this game is Utah kicker Trey Coleman.
Yeah, he's got a boot, to say the least. I think we were talking earlier, his practice long is 66.
That's what he said. That's what the man
That is
said.
Ridiculous. And in-game was 56, I believe.
54.
Yeah. I mean, for a kid to be doing that in high school, let alone going to college, is going to be able to do that. That's phenomenal on his part. And working with Coach Nick Novak, I mean, that guy was booting things for the Chargers here when Chargers were here locally. And he's been working closely with Trey. And obviously, it shows. Trey's going to a Power 5 school, Utah. I think he's going to have real good success in Utah and probably start, making some points early.
Nick said he was the best. I asked him if he's the best kicker in San Diego. He said, no, we're talking about the country at this point. So
Wow.
We'll see if that plays out in this game. Let's get to our starters on the south side, the offensive side. It's the La Jolla coaching staff, so they're going to go with their guy Jackson Deal at quarterback. James Tavau is going to start at running back, but Khalif Playmaker Bloom will get some work out of Morris. The starting receivers, Makai Gray out of Lincoln, Dylan Eads out of Christian, Jackson Daniels will start at X. I know you're a big fan of him, out of Helix. And the other wide receiver out of Lincoln didn't get a lot of play, didn't get a lot of looks, but Trenice Woods is going to get the start at wide receiver. And then left tackle Joseph Hunt is the captain. Rowdy Seda, the left guard. Ryan Mesa, who just got declared a first-team All-CIF offensive guy. Ryan Mesa, number 66 out of Helix, will start at center. Najon Gillespie out of Madison, and Jacob Nyberg, the right tackle. Out of those names, what are some of the names that stand out to you on the offensive side?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan for Jackson Daniels. I mean, what they did over there at Helix this year and what that kid was able to do on the both sides of the ball,
right,
I think were phenomenal. James, a Madison kid, going to Sac State, plays both sides of the ball, was really aggressive on defense, but can run the rock. I mean, we got first team's CIF kids here. Rowdy Seda from Granite Hills. Talk about what they did over there at Granite and with that O-line, what they were able to do with their two-headed monster in the backfield. There's just endless guys on here. Paris Dixon, another great kid. Jackson Deal, like stuff. I mean, I can go on forever, bro.
Defensive starters for the South. We have Jerome Roberts, linebacker, Makai Valenzuela. You talk about the top duo in the county. Those two linebackers out of Lincoln. Jaden Mangini had a 10-touchdown performance in the San Diego section game. Broke his hand in the regional game, and he's playing here tonight with the club. Have you ever, I know you played, have you ever played that injured with a broken hand?
Not a broken hand, broken fingers, but for someone who does it all, I can only imagine how that's going to go, but I'm sure he'd make it work.
Jack Stahl also, and a guy that the coaching staff out of La Jolla has been talking a lot about, Tyler Boynton out of Bishop, 6 foot 260. According to the coaching staff, he's unblockable. So one of the great things about this game is we get to see who the guys really are, right? Through the season, you'll have some up and down games, but this is the game where you play against, at least talent-wise, if not equal, better than, and you really elevate your game in these type of games.
Yeah, I think it's important to note some of these guys play in D1, D2, D3, D4, and, you know, we don't get a real understanding of what those divisions are, so now those kids get to come from those divisions and prove themselves against D1 and D2 talent kids across the county. So it's going to be interesting what kids shine. Some of these kids are coming in with notoriety. Some of them don't have notoriety at all. They're fighting for a college spot. They're fighting for some notoriety to end their senior year. So we'll see what kid stands out.
You mentioned the lower programs like D3, D4, D5. Nick Patterson is one of those guys out of Escondido Charter, put up massive numbers in his career, let alone his senior year, led the league with 251 carries and over 1,350 rushing yards, average 120 yards per game. So oftentimes in these games, what I've experienced, those guys that play at the smaller programs, unfortunately, are just overwhelmed by this talent and skill. But this is the game that we get to find out what they're really made of. The starters on the north side, as far as the wideouts, Tanner Whitford out of Rancho Bernardo, the wide receiver. Tyler Becker, wide receiver out of Del Norte. Jake Sweeney is going to be starting in the backfield, the Torrey Pines running back. Andrew Mays out of La Costa Canyon, the starting quarterback. Carson Howard. Bodie Estabrook is another guy that's going to get some run on the offensive side. Up front, left tackle Sawyer Knox, left guard Talani Talu'au. Robert Davis is going to be starting at center. Porter Cox, number 76, is going to be the right guard. And Caleb Tapu Loa out of El Camino. We know El Camino and we know the North County. They're always big up front. And this North team exemplifies that.
Yes, indeed. Carson Howard has been playing behind some big boys all year, and that doesn't fail here in the All-Star Classic. Carson Howard is going to be going first, only quarterback on the roster. So imagine how he's feeling coming into this game. But don't sleep on the North, man. They got some guys. The North, we were talking before, are always some kids that, pick up the game of football a little later in life, but just pick it up so well, and they come and they show it. They may not be so, crazy invested years in, but they come, they ball out, they show out, and some of them go to college and they play at the next level. So we'll see what the North can give tonight.
Unfortunately, Jamil Kassab was re-injured during practice. He said he was having an exceptional practice and then fell on his collarbone and re-injured his collarbone. So he's going to be out today. But, talking to him, this guy is on the field, skill-wise, one of the best on both sides. And he said guys that impressed him was Bodie Estabrook and Manny Adeza out of San Pasqual. You talk about smaller programs. He said Manny was locked up on the receivers and not allowing any completion. So that San Pasqual safety is going to be a guy to look at and keep an eye on. This game is going to be just underway. They are going to give a tribute to Coach Herb Meyer, who passed away. They are honoring a San Diego legend. Coach Herb Meyer passed this year at age 87. He was a founding member of the San Diego High School Sports Association that puts on this game. He coached in the game many times. The winning football coach in San Diego history.
Wow.
He won 339 games over 45 years. Herb was the first coach in the state to pass 300 wins. He has 10 CIF championships and has been elected to 12 local, state, and national Hall of Fames. So Herb is represented today by his sons Joe and David, brother Chuck, and grandson Scott. Your father, brother, and grandfather was a giant in San Diego, and they're honoring him tonight. So
nice.
just another good cause. You can talk about a guy that has revolutionized the game and started this San Diego Sports High School Association. The players are announced. That means we're getting that much closer to game time. The South are in the blue tops. They are on the near side of the field. The North in the white on the far side. You know, this is probably one of the more stacked South teams that I've seen. You know, North has 7 wins in a row. I'm a South Bay guy, so not that I have a lot in this game, but I'm always going for the South just because they're often overlooked. And it's because North is just always bigger, faster, stronger. But this South team definitely has some guys. And when you talk about the defensive side, right, Lincoln always had a good defense. And Madison, those 2 Western League teams, you talk about Lincoln's dual threat at linebacker, Jerome Roberts and Micah Valenzuela. Those 2 guys are going to be playing next to James Tavau. James Tavau and Jerome Roberts going to Sac State next year.
Yeah, that's a fascinating duo to, 2 Western teams, 2 guys that I actually love that the South is coming back. Growing up when I was playing here locally, a lot of kids would leave and they'd go to the North. Kids were growing up in the city from Lincoln and Morris and who were going elsewhere. So to see the South back at, to what I believe they can be. And James and Jerome, I was talking to Jerome before a pregame and I asked him what made you want to go enroll early. He said 3 of their starting linebackers graduated and he's trying to get on the field early and go up there and learn the defense. He leaves in about 3 weeks. First week of January, he moves his whole life and he was eligible. He talked to his counselor and he had most of the credits to leave school early, so that gave him the decision to go up there and see what he can do.
Captains for the north side is El Camino quarterback Carson Howard and Mission Hills linebacker Mason Shane, and the captains for the south side is Lincoln linebacker Micah Valenzuela and Steel Canyon offensive lineman Joseph Hunt, who will be starting on the offensive side.
I want to touch on one thing, Bo. The linebackers are so stacked that one of our own very own South Bay guys, CJ from Olympian.
CJ Clavier.
See, the kid I think is like 6'2", 230. I mean, he's my size right now as a senior, and I think he didn't get a lot of love. But that just tells you how much talent is on this South team.
And you look at the linebackers, right? CJ played running back, associate student body right. Like, he was running those goal lines. James Tavau had over 1,000 career rushing yards in his high school career, 21 rushing touchdowns. I saw Jerome Roberts in practice. Yeah, they gave him the ball in the backfield. We might see that in goal line formation. So not only are you talking about thumpers at linebacker, but you're talking about athletic guys that can go sideline to sideline, which is obviously something you would like to see.
And that's the new age of linebackers. Right. I think across every level, you see these athletes running 4.3s, 4.4s. Guys are being slim, super athletic, and can play both sides of the ball. And when they get to the next level, they choose linebacker because they love that aggression and they feel like they can have the advantage of being more athletic on the defensive side of the ball. So it's good to see LB. I'm a former LB guy, so.
And you get a guy like Jack Stahl out of University City, 6'3", 240. They have him as a middle linebacker, defensive end. Usually you see like outside linebacker, defensive end, but never middle linebacker, defensive end. And that just exemplifies, once we talked about the athleticism and just aggressiveness in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, talk about guys that have done it all. First guy comes to my mind a couple years ago, Cam Thomas from Carlsbad, very undersized defensive lineman, went to San Diego State, put on some weight, but still was under 280 pounds, and went second or third round to the Cardinals, is playing very well in the NFL. But talk about that versatility amongst the D-line and the linebacker position. It's now just freak athletes across the board.
And right now, as mentioned, they are honoring Herb Meyer right there. He's represented by sons Joe and David, brother Chuck, and grandson Scott. Herb Meyer was passed away this year at 87. He was one of the founding members of the San Diego High School Sports Association. One of the first coaches to coach this game in the first 3 years. And first coached to 300 wins. He won a total of 339 games over 45 years.
Wow. And that speaks to what San Diego's doing here locally, and I tell this across the country with Florida and Texas, we have some ball players and we have coaches and we have, grown adults that are willing to sacrifice their lives in so many years to get back to these kids and get them out and expose them to talent all across the country.
And it looks like we're going to start the game here. Trey Coleman is going to be kicking off for the North, and South will be returning. They're going to start with the ball first. And Coleman, like he does all season long, is going to kick that one through the end zone. And the South will start with the ball with Jackson Deal coming on to the field.
Jackson Deal up from La Jolla had an amazing season with him and his younger brother, Carson Deal, man. Those two were ripping it up for La Jolla this year. So I'm excited to see what he does with this all-star team. So many weapons around him.
Jackson Deal, his senior season, 46 total touchdowns, 30 passing, 15 rushing, and 1 receiving. Over 3,600 passing yards on the season, over 3,600 total yards on the season, 2,300 passing, and 1,370 rushing. And the South will start with a run. That's James Tavau, who is going to start at running back. But as mentioned, Khalif Bloom will get a lot of work as well here today.
Yeah, look for this North team to, stand up early. I told you they're physical, they're big. I'm looking here now. Their defensive line is massive. They got some linebackers there in the middle. We'll see what happens with the North. Hopefully make some noise here in the first against the South. We'll see what Jackson has in store for him right now. 2
receivers to the right, Deal, or 3 receivers make that. He's going to come this way. That's Jackson Daniels on the quick hit, and Daniels will pick up 5 to bring up a 3rd and short.
Mason Shane with that cleanup hit, number 20, coming from Mission Hills. Mission Hills had a great year this year, and he was, I'm sure, a key part of that middle front 7.
Jackson Daniels, the Prep Pigskin Report two-way player of the year. He came up with some exceptional grabs throughout the season. The one that stands out was at the goal line at that front pylon, bringing it down with one hand, and we saw that in practice as well.
Yes. We'll see what they do right here.
They're going to come back this way, and it looks like Jackson Deal and Jackson Daniels were not on the same page, and that's something you're going to see, unfortunately, in an all-star game.
Yeah, these all-star games, these guys obviously aren't used to playing with each other. Some of them played when they were younger or 7-on-7, but trying to build that chemistry in just a week's time can be difficult. But that speaks to these kids' talents if they can get on the same page and make these plays.
I was talking to Tyler Roach, the La Jolla head coach who's leading this South team, and I said, 4th and 2 at your own 40. Are you going for it on the opening drive? He looked at me and said, yes, without a doubt. But he's at his own 28, so I think it's smart that he's going to punt this one away, just to respect the game a little bit.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks of the season didn't see too much punting. Speaking of, going for it in, red zone situations or short situations, I think those last couple of playoff games in the year, we were so used to seeing so many coaches take those risks and going for a 4th and 4, 4th and 2, 4th and 3 to, advance the game or win the game, some teams.
South goes 3 and out and punts it to the North 43, and that's where the North side will start their first offensive possession. Coming on to the field, El Camino quarterback Carson Howard.
Yes, Carson Howard, great season up there in El Camino. His head coach, Coach Dobbs, great guy, great program. Like I said, those kids are big up there. So looking for him here right now. He's got a big old line in front of him, so he's so used to it. We'll see if he uses that for his advantage here in this All-Star game.
Carson Howard, 2,300 passing yards on the season, 20 passing touchdowns, and could also run the ball if needed. He's going to hand it off to Nick Patterson in the backfield, and he gets wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Numbers.
That's big. Number 45. Arath Leva out of Lincoln.
Yeah. Some guys that, Lincoln's such a big program. Some of those guys don't get the notoriety they deserve, but they have talent all across the field.
They have him as a middle linebacker, D-end as well. 68 tackles, 8 sacks on the season.
Wow.
He allowed Jerome Roberts and Mike Valenzuela to roam the field.
For sure.
A quick hit near side, near the 40, round a couple blocks, and South team rallying to the ball for a short gain.
And Nathan Terozli from Point Loma talk about Point Loma. They got some guys on their defense, man. Let me tell you. I think we spoke to that kid earlier this year. Great kid, great frame. I believe he wrestles, but just loves the physicality of being a defensive lineman.
That was Andrew Mays out of La Casa Canyon with the 3-yard gain. Empty set for Carson Howard, 3rd and long. Looking for our first down of the game. Howard's going to tuck and run, gets into South territory, and crosses the first down marker plus some for a North first down.
Yeah, Carson, we saw him do that all year. All year at El Camino. And you're going to see that here in the All-Star game because we talked about, some of those plays may not following through. But we'll probably see more of that from him. First
team All-Avocado League, 4.03 GPA, and as mentioned, over 300 rushing yards on the season. He's not going to run first, but if it's there and the lane is there, he's going to take advantage of it. And he did there for a North first down. Another run up the middle and another tackle for loss for the South team.
Jamari Herbert from Lincoln, another guy. They're so deep. It's kind of incredible to believe that they had so many guys and being productive,
Herbert had 14 tackles for losses, 11 sacks. He was second on the team. When you look at a guy like Herbert, he's tall and athletic. You can see him right there, number 24, just getting around the end. And that was actually to the other side of the field. So he tracked down the running back well for no gain. 2nd and 10. It's a handoff up the middle. This is the Torrey Pines running back. And he picked up a short gain. Jake Sweeney out of Torrey Pines. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry, 10 rushing touchdowns. First team All-Avocado League.
Torrey Pines, another great program. To dominate in the D1 like they did, especially with their defense, only expect a great player to come here and represent them in the All-Star game.
Another 3rd and long. Carson Howard converted on the 3rd and 8 with his legs last time. Howard steps up in the pocket and is brought down near the line of scrimmage. He's going to end up picking up a gain of 1. But once again, that defensive front, it looked like Herbert was the first one to the ball again from Lincoln. So Jamarian Herbert, making an impact here early with 2 big plays near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, thing to notice, the South, I think, are a little bit more faster and seeing the North is physical, but we got Trey Coleman coming up here.
Trey Coleman is going to get what he asked for early in the game. This one is going to be from 57. 57-yard field goal. He was kicking from this direction pregame. So this is the direction he was kicking in. Snap is good. Hold is good. Kick is short. But wind wasn't behind him.
Yes, but we did see him, nail that pregame. The kid he has a boot. He's got a leg. And I think we were talking to Coach Nick. He said he's going to go play at Utah and probably go in and being one of the best in the country already for doing that in high school. It's just phenomenal.
And he talked to, I said, other than having a good boot, what do you look at, Coach Novak, in your kicker? And he just said fluidity. It's just the follow through. He makes it look easy. So unfortunately for that was just a little out of his range here with the wind blowing in his face. Didn't have the wind behind him. Jackson back on to the field. Deal with 2 receivers to his left, 2 receivers to his right. And Khalif Bloom gets the handoff up the middle, falls forward for a short gain.
Chanchanau from El Camino. Talk about big guys from Oceanside. El Camino up there. Just producing these big dudes at such a young age, man.
And it's year in and year out.
Yeah.
Right? Any Avocado League team, but the El Camino guys in particular, it doesn't matter what type of talent they have, it's every year. Man, did you see how big they are up front?
Yeah.
And same here tonight and this season.
Growing up, understanding what Oceanside have a big Polynesian, background of kids that play up there, and a lot of guys that fathers up there that played, college, NFL. So you can only imagine that their kids are going to be big and they're going to be physical and they're going to love football and they're going to stay in Oceanside. They're really big about that stuff.
Yeah, we saw Oceanside have a great turnaround season this year from an alum, and Pumele did a great job with that program early. Gordon Meredith is going to be the slot receiver at the top of your screen. He's that tight end, wide receiver, big body guy that quarterbacks like to throw to. Artie Estrada in motion to the far side of the field. Deal is going to tuck. He's going to hit Jackson Daniels near side, just on the other side of the first down marker. And South with their first down. Daniels was tackled by Jalen Vasney out of Mission Hills.
Another great, guy coming from Mission Hills. They had a great defense this year. Attested that a lot of their games were won on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm sure that kid had a lot to say and do with that reasoning for them and their success.
Jackson Daniels stands at 6'1", long and lengthy, and can stretch the field. Kind of reminds me of a Deshaun Jackson. Maybe not like top end speed wise, but just as talented on the outside.
Indeed. I mean, he looks always just.
They always have that wide receiver one.
Year in, year out. Just always got that guy.
Deal. Clean pocket. Throws it up the seam and overthrows his intended receiver, Makai Gray, going to South practice, and they were using Makai Gray on every vertical and post possible. You talk about like an NFL-type player. Gray's more like that Tyreek Hill. They actually clocked him at 21.12 miles per hour.
Wow. High school kid doing that is unreal. And they were sending him down the seam on a fade. That's what I would do all day with a talent like that. It's a no-brainer.
Just run him vertical and run everyone else under to open it up.
Yes.
And I mentioned Tyreek Hill because I saw him in that South practice. He was pinned on the short side of the field, made like 3 guys miss, and ended up gaining 30 yards on the backside. It was just one of those plays where you just love to see in practice. Jackson Daniels near side on the comeback route near the 40, and he brings it in. Daniels already with a couple grabs here today. Seems like that's Deal's go-to receiver early.
Yeah, it looks like they got some chemistry building during the week of practice. And well, we can imagine, I mean, Jackson Deal is used to having such a good weapon and his little brother and those guys up in La Jolla. But Jackson Daniel is such a humble guy. Talk to them, very soft-spoken, good kid, very well-dressed at the gala this year. I was very impressed. We got a flag on the field.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. So not only did Jackson Deal complete the pass to Daniels, but also picked up a first down. You love to see the toughness in that, right?
Yes. They are in the opposite side of the 50 for the first time in the game, so we'll see what Jackson can do, dig deep into the playbook here and probably open it up a little bit.
As mentioned, Jackson Daniels, the PPR two-way player of the year, both on the offensive and defensive side, an impact player. Playmaker Bloom up the middle with the first big gash in the run game. Actually scratched that James Tavau with the run. I thought it was Bloom because he was so explosive. He said, Tavau, how do you like me now?
Yeah.
As he picks up a first down.
Yeah, having a familiarity with Madison, they have great guys that can play running back and linebacker. But James, such a good kid, very athletic. Good to see him in this All-Star game.
I mean, if you're coaching linebackers at Sac State, you love to see the explosion like that coming from a flat-footed position.
Indeed, for sure. Guy that can make a play when the ball's in his hand, maybe some pick sixes, things like that.
Tavau stays in the game. To the right is Trinice Woods and Jackson Daniels. Woods in motion to the far side of the field.
We have a flag.
We have some movement up front.
Which is normal in All-Star game.
Yeah,
these guys.
Give these guys a break.
Yeah.
They've only practiced for 1 week, but these officials mean business. So
Yes.
And these are the best of the best, so they should be well aware of the penalty and how to run pre-snap plays.
Yes, indeed. I think it'll last maybe the first quarter or so, and they get their feet under them and pick up the cadence a little bit here.
Gordon Meredith in the slot as the lights come on.
There we go.
Good morning, everyone. Jackson Deal with the handoff to Tavau gets hit near the line of scrimmage, and he's brought down by Cade Wilkins. the defensive lineman out of Torrey Pines, one of the best defenders in the county.
Yes, Mission Hills and Torrey Pines just produce defensive guys. I mean, whether they're big or not, these kids can make plays, and they're represented very well here on this defense. I'm looking on the field, all I see is these shiny red and gold helmets from both respective teams.
Cade Wilkins, the tackle for no gain. Now 2nd and 15. Jackson Daniels, a single-side receiver at the bottom of your screen. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field for Jackson Deal. Deal will come near side, go over the top to Daniels.
Oh.
Put it right in the breadbasket. Daniels just unable to bring it in. Great ball from Deal, though.
Yes, I think he put it only where Jackson could get it. Very, very tough catch over the shoulder. You know, falling out of bounds probably has to be one of the hardest catches that you can try to make as a receiver. But, I mean, Jackson Deal throwing that only where his guy can get it and almost got it done right in front of the pylon.
Jaden Williams was on the coverage near side. Step for step, great coverage. And as you mentioned, Deal just kind of put it in the spot where only his receiver can get it.
Yes.
And that was kind of the knock on Jackson Deal this year was, can he make that long throw? Can he make that touch pass? We know he can rifle it with the best of them. The incomplete pass brings up a 3rd and 15. Jackson Deal, clean pocket, then has to step up, create some space, has his receiver at the 25, but unable to bring it in. His intended receiver, Dylan Eads, out of Christian, might have been thrown a little bit behind him, but if you ask Eads, he should have brought it in.
Yeah, another throw. You know, Jackson's going to his left, throwing it back crossbody to your right. Very difficult throw, but, you know, rules in football, receiver hits your hands, you got to catch those, you know, but we'll see as this progresses. We'll see this chemistry, like I said, will get better with these guys. You know, 4th and long here. We'll see what Jackson does. They're not punting and they're not field goal, so we'll see if they can convert here.
And the offense comes out 4th and 15. 3 receivers to the right of Deal, and Wilkins was coming off the edge to supply some pressure and gets called for the offsides.
Yeah, that'll probably change the play up a little bit as it makes it a little bit shorter. 4th and 10 here. We'll see what this team decides to do. Open up the playbook a little bit. Take another shot. Definitely have to get more than 10 yards.
You know, as a coach, it's like, you're right there, just watch the ball. But in an all-star game, you want to get that first sack of the game, and Wilkins had that in mind coming off the edge. You cannot rush or you cannot blitz from the A gap. You have to blitz from the outside.
Yes.
So that's one of the things to mention in this all-star game, which helps out a quarterback like Jackson Deal, who uses his legs. Deal wants to come single side again, has pressure, stepped up, but is brought down by Wilkins, so he gets the first North sack of the night.
Yeah, it's only right. A defensive guy, you know, coming from Torrey Pines, get a sack. Got some buddies in on the party. Speaking of the rules earlier, but I think it's good that these all-star games has these rules in place so these kids don't get hurt and they can learn a little bit of different technique. Guys that are blitzing in the inside and the outside and giving it a little bit more one-on-one work. These guys are getting better looks at different positionings. So
the turnover on downs will give the North their second opportunity on offense. Carson Howard, the only quarterback for the North side, back onto the field. And Howard will hand it off to Patterson.
Ooh.
And
fumble.
That ball was stripped, but was it stripped before he hit the ground? And they're going to say Patterson hit the floor first.
And who else? Jerome Roberts, man. This kid is all over the field. In my eyes, he can play safety. I think he's fast enough.
Him as like a rover linebacker, which is an interesting position, like strong safety type, free safety type, but he's playing near the line of scrimmage and also playing, 8 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage.
And how many kids going and making a tackle and going for the ball, not only making the tackle, but trying to get the ball out.
Realizing you have the tackle, and then what are you going to do next?
Yes, exactly.
It's that next level of intelligence that Coach B at Lincoln teaches his kids. And Patterson gets twirled around.
Who else? By the kid we were just talking about. Man, he's got a nose for the ball, and there's some things that you can't teach as a linebacker. You got to just have that grit and that nose to get to the ball. I'm going to make this play, and I don't care who's in my way. I'm going to run right through them and get to the ball.
This is the type of game where Roberts, I mean, we all knew he was the best defensive player, but this is where he really puts an exclamation point on his dominance against the top talent in the county.
Yeah, for sure.
That short game brings up a 3rd and 7 for Howard. Howard looks far side, has his receiver up the seam near the first down line.
Nick Klein from Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines are well represented here in the South. Offensive, defensive guys making that play. That's a huge catch right there for the South's offense. North's offense, sorry.
I'll make that mistake at least once this game, too. You just beat me to the punch. 1:10 and counting. We have a scoreless ball game. This is the second offensive possession for the north side. Nick Patterson remains in the backfield to the left hip pocket of Carson Howard. Howard will tries to get to the edge and turns the corner, but unable to. Tracked down by Titus Toilolo, the safety out of Madison.
I think he had no gain on there, just too much defenders getting up the field, making sure they're setting their edges and making sure Carson couldn't do anything on that one.
Titus Toilolo, the enforcer on defense, a hard-hitting safety, had 2 picks on the season and 70 tackles to go along with it. When you talk about Madison, it was really that defense that carried that team in the Western League.
Most definitely. Such a difficult schedule, and they were able to shock some people and go into the playoffs and make a little run.
Only lost by 1 in that semifinal game to the eventual section champs. And the South Side not allowing anything in the run game. That was Arath Leyva and Herbert, both Lincoln guys.
Yes. That just shows you, if you missed any Lincoln games, that's what it looked like all year.
Yeah, right? And if they got by that first line, they had to deal with Micah Valenzuela or Jerome Roberts.
Exactly. And some of these guys, like I said, don't get looks because maybe size or notoriety or an exposure to these camps, but they are putting in work.
Or maybe because Jerome Roberts had 171 tackles, not allowing anyone else to get to the ball carrier. That tackle for loss brings up a 3rd and long. Carson Howard has to escape the pocket. No holding call. The far throw near the 40, and that is going to be a first down for the North. See if we can get this instant replay. That's a long throw for Carson Howard right there.
On the run.
Far side of the
Going
field.
to his right. Nick Klein again making that secure catch for Carson. Looking like they're building up some chemistry.
So Nick Klein with 2 big receptions on this drive to keep the drive going. Fresh new set of downs. This is a goal line formation. Nick Patterson is just going to run this behind everyone, and that might have been one of the better runs for the north side.
Bo, I looked at the formation real quick, and I immediately thought tush push. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing it so early, but we'll probably see it here. I wouldn't doubt it.
At some point, but that will end first quarter action here on the Cali Photo Sports Network. I mean, we really don't have any commercials, so we're gonna kind of keep it here. Some of the things that stood out in that first quarter: the Lincoln front 7,
yes.
Right? We talked about Roberts, we talked about Valenzuela, but it was actually Herbert and Leyva that had an impact near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said, giving those guys those credits that don't get the glam all year, like Jerome Roberts. We talk about him, Defensive Player of the Year, but other guys getting to come here and show what they can do, I think is great. I love an underdog story, so I love seeing this right now.
A scoreless ball game through 1 quarter. North with the ball. This is only their 2nd offensive possession. Now in South territory. Their last offensive possession ended with a 57-yard field goal falling short. This is call it a 2nd and 7. They're going to come out in goal line formation again. This is a full house. Nick Patterson off the right side and tackled at the line of scrimmage.
By James Taval. I mean, are we going to call the same names all night here, these kids on defense? Defense wins championships, Bo. Obviously,
win all-star games?
Yes, apparently they do. But you can see, I think the game of football right now is really going, at least here locally in San Diego, we're getting a lot of really good defensive guys that are loving the defensive side of the ball, that are willing to be like, hey, I don't want to play offense anymore, I'm defense.
And, you mentioned before the game, Sac State wasn't a big school, but recently they've stepped their game up, and they have two of the better linebackers in this game going there.
Most definitely. That is a cool thing to see as we see Carson established here. Third and about 7.
Howard looks left, has a drag over the middle, decides to go over the top, and overthrows his intended receiver. You see, and that's a good throw under pressure, right?
Good ball.
Falling backwards, just Tyler Becker unable to get to it. But when you see that pressure coming up the middle, falling backwards, and making a nice tight spiral over the top, that's impressive.
Yeah, I've never played quarterback, but I'm sure it's on a pretty sight. Seeing Jerome Roberts coming down the middle and trying to sack you, I would throw the ball as far as I could, too, and try to hope for the best. But it was a beautiful ball, and I hope we'll continue to see things like that.
So Trey Coleman is going to get a second attempt here today on their second offensive possession.
52.
This one's from 52. His last one was from 57 on the other side of the field. Good snap, good hold, and that kick is blocked.
That was it looks like a clean jump over the center.
Oh my goodness, it was.
Wow.
Titus Toilolo.
Wow. He timed it so well.
Toilolo said, no, not today. blocking the 52-yard field goal from Trey Coleman.
And that same rules as applies in regular season game. Can't touch the center, but he looked like he jumped right over the center and timed it perfectly well.
Go one more time. Like, that's impressive, right? To clear the center and a clean block.
And he looked like he knew immediately when it hit his hand.
Oh, as soon as he
he jumped over, yeah.
As soon as he cleared the snapper, there was no doubt about it.
Cool. That'll set up the South. Jackson Deal once again out for the South.
Best play of the game so far? Most impressive play?
Yes. Since I'm a defensive guy, most certainly.
Running back in motion. That's Makai Gray near side. Doesn't need a lot of space. He gets near midfield and is tackled right there by number 28, Lucas Miller, the linebacker out of San Marcos.
San Marcos, such a good program. They had a great year up there. Man, the North just has such great programs and puts out such great talent. Kudos to them.
Makai Gray picked up half of what they needed on first down, bringing up a 2nd and 5. Artie Estrada, the wide receiver at the bottom of your screen. Gordon Meredith, the slot receiver at the top of your screen. That's McGray in motion. Deal is going to keep. This is his first run of the game. Gets to the edge and gets near the first down marker. It looks like they're going to give him 5.
Yeah.
And that would be a first down for the South as they get into North Territory.
Yeah, something I've seen all year across the county is these quarterbacks able to get out of the pocket and make plays. The quarterback position is definitely, it's always been changing, but at this point, it is revolutionized. You need to use your feet to make your plays and extend plays for offenses, and Jackson Deal does that.
Jackson Deal reminds me of like a Josh Allen type. Can
Yes.
make all the throws, and when he's under pressure, can extend the play, and off schedule can make plays with the best of them.
Yeah. Empty backfield.
Deal. Looks near side. Receiver's not there. And he's just going to throw this one away. That one pressure. Let's see where the pressure comes from. Off the edge. Good, great spin move right there.
And that's something you want to look at as a right-handed QB, getting him going to his left. It's a little bit harder to throw for sure. So look for that defensive end to probably run that move once again.
Tobla Araujo, the defensive lineman out of Poway, applying the pressure on Deal. 2nd and 10, Makai Gray at the bottom of your screen, the single side receiver.
Wouldn't be surprised they take a shot here.
Look at the corners, though. The corners are playing 7 yards off the ball. Deal rolls to the far side of the field. He's going to tuck and run, gets to the edge, but not much going. He's tracked down nicely. Mason Shane, the captain for the north side linebacker, sideline to sideline.
His closing speed, I just saw him middle of the field and closed all the way to the left side of the sideline. Talk about a safety who either runs an alley or gets to the sideline ASAP and only allow Jackson to get 1 yard on the play.
Yeah, Jackson Deal in a regular season game, he's turning that into a first down easy, if not a score. The guy averaged 9 yards per pop, almost a first down every carry. And it was really the only quarterback to have over 2,300 passing yards and over 1,000 rushing yards, and he had nearly 1,400 rushing yards. So,
wow,
just kind of shows you the athlete Jackson Deal was or is. He's still waiting for that offer. 3 receivers to the left of Deal, also a basketball player as well. He started basketball practice this week. Deal under pressure, and Deal goes down in the backfield. North brings the pressure off the edge, and he has to step up. Looks like maybe number 77.
Jadorian Beamon from Oceanside cleaning up the sack for the North team.
So once again, 3rd and long, North bringing the pressure and following it up with a sack. We saw that in the last offensive possession for the South Side. So defense prevailing here in this one early.
Indeed. And that doesn't speak to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, we got some ballers on both sides of the field, but that just speaks to, I think, either the caliber of these coaches that are instilling these defensive schemes or the defensive players who play offense, who care about a little bit more about that defensive shine.
And the returner brings it in inside the 5 and not much more.
Another great tackle by the South.
We'll see the South closing down nicely on the ball carrier. Great pursuit by the special teams.
Brendan Goldstein from La Jolla.
The safety.
Yeah. Another La Jolla guy. I'm sure Jackson Deal will appreciate that.
But in these type of games, the defense does have the advantage, though, with the offense trying to implement an offense within a week.
Yes. Not to say that defense isn't complicated. I think it's a little bit easier to install defensive schemes than it would be offense. And offense has to do with chemistry. You know, you guys running up and down the field at full speed.
Offense is creating, defense is responding. And
yes.
It's much easier in a week span. Howard under pressure, looking like Jackson Deal, using his legs and picking up a first down. Let's check this instant replay right here. You can see right here, pull away from the defenders. You know, they say Carson Howard only averaged 4 yards per carry, but that's a good-looking quarterback right there using his legs.
Yeah, and I understand why you got the mix-up. They look very similar running out on the field. Both got really big frames. I think 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah, they have Carson Howard 6'2", 195.
Yeah.
So a nice frame from a senior quarterback, and he's intelligent, right? Over a 4.0 GPA, something you want out of a quarterback at the high school level.
Yes.
3 receivers to the right of Howard to the far side of your field. Howard looks that way initially, has a receiver up the seam, and unable to bring it in. Covered nicely right there.
Brody Estabrook from La Costa Canyon. I'm not going to, it did touch his hand, but that's a very tough one to pull in up the seam with a defender literally in your face.
And to bring that in flat-footed too is not easy up the seam, especially with defenders around him.
Yes.
And we have our first charge timeout. That would be the South calling the timeout with 8:52 remaining in this ball game. Here on the Cali Photo Sports Network, Bo Ferdig along with Tristan Lopez. Paul Rudy will be joining us in the second half. Cameraman Tim Gahn and Kevin Bear. And our producer, Pablo Espinal, here on the Cali Photo Sports Network. Hope everyone is enjoying this game. Beautiful evening for football. The sun has set. The lights are on. And this is football weather right here, Tristan.
Most certainly. We're in between.
Well, at least in San Diego.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are jealous of our location and being able to play football. It's not cold. It's not hot. It's just right to go out there and play some football. And we got a pretty big crowd and a lot of parents and friends and family and administrators supporting their kids from their respective schools. So good to see the turnout here at Mira Mesa High.
The La Jolla coaching staff is coaching the south side. The El Camino, led by Coach Hobbs, is coaching the north side. Coach Roach and his coaching staff. They've coached in a few All-Star games before, but this is their first one in the SDFNL. Or they coached in the SDFNL, and this is their first one in the Spanos Classic. And we have movement up front.
Offense getting creative, trying to create those hard counts for the defensive linemen who are hungry in the front. And I think they got them there, Bo. And that's going to be first down. That's a tough one.
Well, that's great game planning, right? Because they've already ran that goal line formation on the first snap. They see the same thing, so they're anticipating it. Mm-hmm. They need to get to the ball on 3rd and short.
Yes.
And just a great game plan right there set up by El Camino coaching staff. That offside creates a first down for Carson Howard. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. That's to the right of the El Camino QB. He wants to go the single side. Has his receiver at the 40 and knocked away. Great one-on-one coverage. Is that Peterson?
That is Jaden Peterson.
Out of Bonita Vista.
We saw a couple games of Bonita Vista this year in the South, and it looked a lot like that.
That pass was intended for Jalen St. Paul. When you talk about athletes on the outside, St. Paul was that guy for Carlsbad, playing both ways. But Peterson, you talk about smaller programs out of Bonita Vista. This is a game that he often gets overlooked, but made a nice play right there on the ball.
Waited to the last minute, played the hands, swatted it away, was right on the hip. I think it was a great, great play for Peterson.
And, I mean, he was locked up one-on-one. He was left on an island.
Yes.
We have a pistol formation.
And another flag.
Jake Sweeney.
I think we have movement. Yes. False start offense. Like I said, it will be normal for an all-star game. Chemistry, I'm going to keep saying it, it's very important, especially for the offensive cadence, receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, things like that.
But I would assume that the north side offensively is going to get better with Howard getting more in the groove of the game.
Yeah, especially since he has to play the whole game. I think one of the running backs is his backup. So.
I hope we don't see that. Because the way these defenses are playing, they will gobble any non-QB up in this one. Howard, the play fake is pressured up the middle and hits his receiver in the flats.
Mason Shane with the catch, but defenders all on it.
That was Jerome Roberts in the flats on the tackle. You talk about linebackers, athletic linebackers. Mason Shane is a starting linebacker. He just made a reception right there in an all-star game.
And his 3rd reception, I believe. I think him and Carson have gotten on the same page here early on in this game.
Double formation to the left, to the right. Sweeney remains the single back. Howard looks left. Pressure up the middle. Eludes the pocket. Is getting chased down and has to throw that one away. So incomplete pass will bring up a 4th and 10. Defense prevails for the South once again.
Yes, I think another thing to look out for is some of these kids making IQ plays. Carson understanding he's out of the pocket, get the ball back to the line of scrimmage and getting the ball out of harm's way. Those are things that college coaches look at. Your football IQ has to be somewhere they're coachable to go to the next level and understand the game at a different scale.
Tyler Boynton on the pressure. Coaching staff from La Jolla talked a lot about Boynton. You talk about smaller programs. This guy played out of Bishops. Not a lot of looks, not a lot of talk about Bishops, but Boynton was their guy on the defensive side. Nice, high, booming kick by Trey Coleman. Impressive field goal kicking wise and impressive punter as well.
Indeed, that definitely had some hang time, allowed his team to get down the field and got it just outside the 33-yard line.
So that's, 27, tack on another 50. That was a 50-yard punt right there.
Yes, and they got a lot of hang time. And I know Coach Nick focuses on hang time with his punters. So,
well, and punters is such a big part of the game, right? To be able to switch fields, especially in a game like this where both offenses are struggling a bit and both defenses are playing stellar.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of kickers knowing how to punt because you make yourself a Swiss Army knife at that point because you can do it all and you can get creative with your play calls.
Yeah, it's not only about booming it down the middle of the field, but can you direction. Deal back onto the pitch. 3 receivers to the right of Jackson Deal. Deal's going to keep it himself. Has some room, gets near the 40, and is brought down at the 39. for a gain of 6.
By who else? I think that's Mason Shane. Mason Shane.
So Mason Shane had a reception. He's the captain for a reason on this North squad. It's no easy task trying to track down Deal, and Shane did an excellent job there doing that. Deal with the quick hit far side. That's Jackson Daniels on the reception. Gets close to the first down marker, but then a rally of troops from the north side push him back. I mean, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 helmets from the north side rallying to the ball right there. Mason Shane again, back-to-back tackles.
How many times are we going to say this?
And I mean, you talk about sideline to sideline, right? It was the near sideline on that first down tackle and then the far sideline on that second down.
Yeah, and we give a lot of love to linebackers because the linebacker core is so strong, even on both sides. But right now, I think in this day and age of football, the linebacker position is very important, having to be so athletic, get sideline to sideline at a very high level.
2 receivers to the left of Deal on the far side. On a 3rd and short, pistol formation, run up the middle. James Taval lowers the boom, lowers his shoulder, and picks up a first down right here. Just downhill running at its finest.
Yeah, and James getting up there, getting the first down, putting his head down. James, he's not a big guy, especially for a linebacker. I think he's very lean and very tall and athletic for his stature.
They're going to stay with the same formation, this time to the left side. Taval off the right side. Taval tries to keep his feet moving, but is eventually brought down after a short gain.
We talk about these skill players, but these defensive linemen and these old linemen have put in a lot of work for their respective programs. And I think across the county this year, we saw a lot of physical guys, really big guys, 6'2", 6'3", 280, 300. Like, these kids are in high school, and they're out here performing at a high level.
It's not unusual to see 300 pounds. Back when you and I played, it was like everyone knew about a 300-pounder in high school, but nowadays it's
pretty normal.
More normal. I don't know how normal, but it's definitely more normal.
When the North
Deal going long over the top, and once again, just a little miscommunication from him and his receiver. But that was well covered in the secondary as well.
Yes, and the North, I think it's pretty normal to say your offensive line is going to be 6'3", 6'4", and, you know, pushing 300 pounds. Yeah.
It'll be interesting on the south side to see when they go away from Deal and bring in one of their other quarterbacks, whether it be Hudson Herbert out of Grossmont or Sean Pomado out of Otay Ranch.
Yeah, and we also have Jaden Mangini.
He broke his finger, as mentioned, in that regional game, and he's only going to be playing defense, but I haven't seen him much on the defensive side today because, as mentioned, he's playing with a club right now.
Yeah, so very difficult task to do on offense, to say the least.
3 receivers to the left of Deal. Pressure off the edge by Wilkins, and once again, just a little too quick to the punch. Cross a line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped.
Yeah, and just to touch on Mangini a little bit, the game that kid had in his championship
in the San
game,
Diego section game. Yeah.
I think you can say the word legendary. I think at this point
it was the best. It was the best performance, not even offensive or defensive. It was the best overall performance we had. He started at middle linebacker.
Yeah,
was making all the tackles and just decided, hey, I'm playing quarterback for the first year. Why not score 10 touchdowns in a San Diego section championship game and score the most points in a San Diego? La Jolla Country Day put up 73 points against Grossmont.
Yeah.
I asked him, he saw Herbert, during week's practice, and they gave each other a nod like, hey, I saw you. All right. Good game, by the way. Deal.
Good
At
ball.
the 40 to Jackson Daniels.
Great comeback route for Daniels. Strong hands.
And great coverage at the top of your screen. He was right there with him, but Daniels, as you mentioned, using his hands well, bringing that one in. Daniels has been the go-to receiver for Deal here today.
Yeah, I think if you're a defense, you see him on the field, you have to tone in on him. You know he can make you miss. He can beat you over the top. He can beat you in the middle, underneath, play action. The kid he can do it all as a wide receiver, especially a number 1 wide receiver.
The reception by Daniels brings up a first down for the South at the North 42. Deal.
Taking
Looks
a
far
shot.
side. Is going to go over the top. Another shot to Daniels. Just once again overthrows the intended receiver. But that's good coverage. I mean, step for step, Jalen Basney out of Mission Hills. Because even you saw on that reception, didn't allow any yards after the catch, and that's one of the things Daniels excels in.
Yeah, what I've noticed on this game, defense is playing well, but these pockets are not very
Clean.
open and clean for these quarterbacks. They're having to put them in tough positions, and that speaks to not only the quarterback's ability to put that there, but the defense is understanding, I know the range of where this quarterback can put it, and I need to make it real tight.
3 receivers to the left of Deal. Woods in motion. Handoff up the middle.
In the
And
backfield.
that play gets blown up in the backfield. Wilkins to lead the way off the edge.
That was just incredible.
Wilkins and Washington, both Torrey Pines products. The defensive lineman in Wilkins and Dawson Washington, the linebacker.
Looks like they were very used to doing that all year.
Yeah, right? Just another day in the park. Blowing up plays in the backfield.
Yes, in a very difficult league that they played in.
I mean, top to bottom, probably the best.
Yes.
Year
most
after
certain.
year.
Yes. Physical, talented, depth-wise, like.
Yeah, the Avocado League is always, when talking about the best programs and best leagues,
Third and
Avocado is
long.
always at the
Deal
top.
takes a shot.
Deal's going to go again. In
Ah.
double coverage. I think the defense is on to him now.
Yes.
Like, all right, Jackson Daniels and Deal, we've seen you connect on a couple passes. We're not going to give that up anymore.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 21 seconds left till half. We'll see how much longer we'll see Deal on the field. But it looks like the South is going to punt it, which is a good idea to based on where they are and how defenses have been playing.
And as much as you want to give guys looks, these coaches also want to win as well. They don't want to end the season with the L.
Yes. Some of them did, and they're trying to, reamp that. And, by the end of the day, it's about these kids. These kids get another look to play football and to be under the lights. This is no better feeling to be a Friday night light and playing football with some top talent around the county. South. Oh,
and we
got some
have
trickery.
A fake punt. It's not going to work unless Boynton breaks like 3 more tackles. And unfortunately, Boynton is not going to do that. They run like a fake end around. And Boynton, good feet by the defensive tackle out of Bishops.
Yeah, almost there. I think if he would have kept his footing, 5 more yards, would have got that first down. That might have ignited the South offense a little bit too. But sets up the North in just inside the 35. We'll see what they can do with this positioning with 3 minutes and 12 seconds left till halftime. Hopefully they can get on the board. They know they have a field goal kicker that can boot it, so maybe just get in field goal range for him and put something on the board.
Yeah, Boynton was the 2022 Coastal League Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time first team All-League. They have him as a defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and fullback. So
Bigger guys being athletic up at front.
the turnover on downs gives the North another chance with 3:12 remaining in the first half. 3 receivers to the right of Howard. Howard looks up the middle, the pressure off the edge, and Howard is going to go down.
I think that's,
That might be Jacob Morgan out of Mission Bay.
yes.
You talk about a smaller program making an impact play. The La Jolla coaching staff was talking a lot about Morgan. We talked about all the other linebackers. They said Morgan's going to surprise some people, and he brought down Howard for the big sack right there.
Yeah, and chasing a quarterback from behind while he's rolling to his left is not an easy task. To come from the opposite side of the line of scrimmage and to run him down, good for him.
Morgan's physical, and they talked about him having a knack for getting after the QB. That was from the Mission Bay staff, and he showed that ability right there.
Carson,
Howard under pressure again.
It looked like it came out really funky out of his hand trying to get the ball.
The pressure is my question. Morgan again off the edge.
Came out strange. Like he wanted more line on it. It came out a little bit off his right pinky.
That incomplete pass stops the clock. with 2:22 remaining in the first half. Let's see what the call is. Personal foul, roughing the passer.
Late hit, yeah, defense.
That must have been a late hit.
Yeah, although this is an all-star game, we want to keep it, balanced and, hold these kids to a standard just like any other game and making sure that they're being disciplined and understanding the circumstances of the game.
Tristan Lopez is going to be on the field catching up with a few players in the second half. Paul Rooney is going to join me as well here up in the booth. 2:22 remaining in the first half. Still looking for our first points. I mean, we've had some low-scoring games. I don't know if we've ever been scoreless in the first half. That would be interesting to find out at halftime. Howard dumps it off in the flats to his running back. And once again, rallying to the ball is the defense from the South. Jarrah Savanea out of Helix, first one to the ball.
Kid coming from a historical great program, sending linebackers to the next level, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, all sorts of talent all over the field.
I mean, that was running back view for a while, but you talk about linebackers. The Noah brothers, obviously, are guys that stand out. And 2:12, a timeout was called on the field after the short game brings up a 4th and 9. South's going to try to get the ball back.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is an all-star game, but you want to be a little bit competitive and definitely, make a statement as far as the coaches and these players. Some of them are going to, hey, let's go for it, coach. Let's do this. I believe that this works. Giving these players a little bit of freedom to, dig in their little playbook and see what they think as a coach and as a player.
Trey Coleman on to punt for the north side. Two returners for the south. That's Makai Gray.
And Jackson Daniels.
Oh, tough snap. Oh, and Trey Coleman gets lit up on the punt. That might be another personal foul by the south side.
If that wasn't a flag, those are two guys I would not want to punt to. I think Makai Gray and Jackson Daniels.
Yeah, there was a reason he was kicking that. I mean, the ball fell out of bounds. Right.
5 yards.
So they're not calling a personal foul. They're just calling running into the kicker.
Which is fair. I think he tried to hold up and he clipped him on the shoulder.
Yeah. If I'm Coach Roach, I'm taking the punt and declining the penalty.
Looks like they're going to punt again.
Yeah, they're going to decline the penalty. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not giving Trey... Hold on. If they decline the penalty, shouldn't they just get the ball where the ball was punted?
There might have been two flags if that's the case.
Actually, no. I'm thinking the opposite. If they accepted the penalty, they're going to take it where the ball laid or where the ball fell out of bounds.
Yes. Again, two guys I would not want to kick to.
Well, and I think that's what Coach Roach is saying. It was more for me for Coleman because he has such a boot. He could pin him inside the 10 without an issue from here.
Yeah.
Maybe not inside the 10, but at least inside the 20. Daniels and Gray have their heels at the 13.
And that's out of respect. That's out of respect what they just saw from Trey in their last punt.
I mean, Coleman just booted it 40 yards and was knocked on his backside. Coleman's going to get another attempt.
Pretty decent boot.
The high booming kick, and Gray had no chance right there. That ball was in a tornado.
Yes, in a tornado, landed perfectly at the 8, went back a little bit.
So I was right. He did
Pin him in the 10.
Trey, for proving me right. Pinned him inside the 10. That was a 60-yard punt right there. 62-yard punt.
As a high school kicker who doesn't...
And 62 yards in the air. Not like 40 yards in the air, 20 roll. That was all in the air right there. An impressive punt by Coleman.
We'll try to clock the air time next time on his punt if we see one. Because I know punters are big on their air time.
how long it would take me to run a 40 right now, about 5 flat. I'd say at least 5 seconds in the air on that punt.
Oh man, I'd probably run a little bit under a 5 flat.
Oh,
man.
man.
I'm not that removed,
way.
man. I'm not that removed.
Man, at this point, I'm just hoping I can run a 40 without pulling my hammy. Well, the North is going to have another crack at it. 1:53 remaining. They're going to have to go the distance of the field.
I believe they do have 2 timeouts.
And they're going to bring in Sean Pomato out of Otay Ranch. First time he's going to see action here today. And
they
the ball's
fumble.
on the floor. Our first turnover of the game, recovered by the North. And that's an El Camino helmet.
Number 6. Looks like Dawson Washington.
24.
24.
Salvador Avila,
Yes.
the linebacker out of El Camino. So Pomato gets his first snap, and not the cleanest of handoffs. And Avila with the fumble recovery inside the 5. It's going to set up the North nicely right here.
They were trying to do a trick play. It looked like the running back was turning around to toss it back to the
I
quarterback.
think he was turning around because he realized the ball was on the floor. Might have been a trick play. I don't think you're running a trick play.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Bo. But it's all-star game. You never know.
No. We'll go with that.
That's a tough place to fumble, I think.
Oh, man. I thought that was an interesting position to put Pomato in.
Yes.
It hasn't seen the field all day.
Right
Now
before
he's
the
pinned
half.
with his heels literally on the goal line.
Yeah. I mean, defensive battle we're seeing here. Hopefully the North can punch this in. And going back to your point, you've never seen a scoreless first half in this game.
And we're not going through that after that turnover.
But we hope. We don't know. We hope.
Well, at this point, this is 4-down territory. We know Coleman could kick it from here.
Yes.
We've seen the leg on him. Like at this point, I want to see my ones versus your ones.
Yeah.
My best offense versus your best defense, and run the ball all 4 times.
And we've seen their goal line package, so I can only imagine that they're going to come out. And maybe Tush Push is coming here right now.
And, they have a big running back from Torrey Pines.
And you think he stopped at the
Yeah.
1, very short.
Jake Sweeney averaged 6 yards per pop on the season.
Looks like he got about
Goes from
3.
the 3 to the 1.
He's on the 1, literally the 1-inch line. The nose is almost touching the goal line. We'll see. Oh, they're going to rush.
And there's your
Huge.
tush push that you were
Yeah.
talking about. Sweeney sends at 6 foot 190. You talk about like prototypical North County running backs. Great size, athletic, downhill runner. Jake Sweeney is that guy that helped lead the mission, or that helped lead Torrey Pines to a number 1 seed in Division 1. So offsides on the south. So it goes from the 1 to the half-yard line. This shot right here given to you by Timothy Gunn, the general, longtime PPR photog, one of the day ones. Howard behind that big offensive line
They're gonna
of
think about
Knox, Toluau, Davis, Porter Cox, and Tapuloa.
That is a big front 5 of boys.
I'm gonna stay on your camera.
Howard
And they punch it in.
turns, hands it off, and North gets on the board for the first touchdown of the night. And Mason Shane with the touchdown. I mean, at this point, Mason Shane is the early MVP for the North.
Yeah, I mean, doing it all on a
Only touchdown
defense.
helps, but defensively, sideline to sideline, we saw him on back-to-back plays. Has a reception or 2 on the offensive side. Shane is doing it all for the North side here tonight.
Yeah, and that speaks to what he was able to do at Torrey Pines and how talented Torrey Pines was. Imagine a lot of those guys were going both ways. Being able to run the rock and play
Hills.
linebacker. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I mean,
The helmets, they're throwing me
yeah.
off a little
Oh,
bit.
it throws everyone off.
Oh,
And sometimes you get caught,
trying to do it
and
again.
Toilolo gets caught with the offsides. I'm sure Trey Coleman is just like, no, let's just keep it here. This is an extra point encroachment. Because I'm assuming there's not too many times Coleman has gone 0 for 2 with field goal kicks. So he wants to get the best of this extra point here right now. This one is going to be from 27 yards out. Jake Christensen out of Del Norte, the holder. And the kick is up.
That's good.
And good. North gets on the board first, 7-0 with a Mason Shane rushing touchdown. Trey Coleman on the extra point. But the South still has 1:13 remaining. You know they're going to try to put one in.
Yes, certainly. Based on what I see in the last couple of games of the year, a lot happened in the last 96 seconds of almost every game, either in the open or in some of the section finals and semifinals. So maybe we'll see that here. We have the South. We're going to see the ball with 1 minute and 13 seconds left in the half.
I want to say South has one timeout remaining.
Yes, I do believe they have one timeout.
Actually, on the scoreboard, it shows them having 3, but I don't think that's the case.
I think we have Dylan Eads from Christian back there, along with
Artie Estrada and Dylan Eads. Estrada out of Central, Eads out of Christian. And they're just going to watch this ball sail over their heads into the end zone. You know, what the South should do is put linemen back there and try to force Trey Coleman to kick it off to him, because Coleman every time is just going to boot one through the end zone.
Yeah.
And we've already seen the athleticism from these bigs. Like, why not give him another chance?
Want to touch on Central, Artie Estrada from Central.
Yep.
Those teams up there, I don't feel good a lot of love, but they.
You talk about fun football.
Yes.
A community event.
Yes, I went out there last year for a semifinal game against Ramona, and I believe the whole town was there.
Yep.
It was so enlightened with rich people around, and the fans were filled. The stands on both sides.
My father played here. My grandfather, his father played here.
Yes.
I mean, it's a whole family tree of individuals playing at Central. Pomado near side throws high to his intended receiver, Jackson Daniels. Yeah, Artie Estrada, you talk about Central, had a great year this year. They were first in the Imperial Valley League, beat Eastlake at home in a close game, and then eventually lost in the quarterfinals. But yeah, you talk about fun football.
Always.
Go out to the desert, catch a Central game against Brawley or any one of those desert teams.
Well worth the drive.
Yeah. Pomado, quick hit near side. That's Makai Gray behind a couple blocks. And the clock keeps ticking. Be interesting to see if the South gets on the ball quickly under a minute remaining.
Makai's the type of player, you see the ball touch his hand and do not blink.
You just hold your breath.
Yes. You don't know what's going to happen because he might make one person miss. He might make the entire defense miss.
3rd and 4 for the South. Clock ticking. Pomado looks far side. Has his receiver just beyond the first down marker. And Jackson Daniels heads up play, gets the first down, and gets out of bounds to stop the clock at 30 seconds.
These are long throws.
A nice strong throw. I was
Yes.
just going to mention that right there by Pomado. And once again, Daniels using his hands, bringing that one in cleanly.
Yes. They're on the far hash now. We'll see what the South can do with 30 seconds left.
So I'd say early MVP for the South, possibly Jackson Daniels. I wouldn't say he has around a handful of grabs.
Yes, most certainly.
Mason Shane for the north side here early. Still a lot of game to be played. 30 seconds remaining. Pomado, 3 receivers to his left. He's going to go single side.
He got
and
pressure.
The pressure off the edge. Let's check this out on the instant replay. North brought the pressure, and a defender just came screaming in on Pomado cleanly. Pomado was first team All-Mesa this year. Good size. He only played 5 games. He only played half the season. Averaged 1 passing touchdown per game. Had just under 700 passing yards on the season through 5 games. 3 receivers to his left. Pomado is looking quickly that way. That ball almost intercepted, but laid out. Are they going to call a defenseless receiver?
He hit his helmet a little bit. I wouldn't call targeting. If the defender looked at the ball, he might have had a pick 6.
Lucas Miller on the tackle. That was a big hit right there.
Yes. Clash of the helmets.
Let's check it out again. You talk about realizing it was a pass and just tracking down the receiver.
Yeah, great play by the defender, reading that inside bubble screen and trying to play the ball. Looks
so
like
they are calling helmet to helmet
yes.
on Miller, which is going to add 15 and a fresh set of downs for the south side.
And you can see it wasn't intentional. He knew where the ball was going. He was trying to get to the guy before the ball got there. He made a great play, but accidental, hit heads. That's a rule that I'm very appreciative that keeps some of the kids safe, but it's things like that sometimes you can't,
And this is almost like the last generation of kids that were taught in youth, like, go after the ball, no holds bars.
Yeah.
The biggest hit you can make.
Yes.
It's almost like the younger generation now is being taught you can't lead with your head anymore. Pomado steps up in the pocket, eludes some pressure, and is brought down near the line of scrimmage for a short gain of 1. Mason Shane, along with number 24, Jamarian Herbert out of Lincoln. Herbert once again making an impact play. South is going to have to get up on the ball, and that will end first half action. And ending first half action was the defense from the North, partner.
Yes, definitely. On both sides, for the North, stood up. Coming into this, they are physical. They're being physical. They're meeting the South at the line of scrimmage. They're playing tight defense, making Jackson Deal had to put some balls in some tight windows, and he wasn't able to capitalize and get in the end zone, but the North was able to get on the scoreboard.
And the storyline from the first half, great defensive play. And we're going to bring it here inside the booth here at Mira Mesa High School. And there we are right there, this camera right here. Bo Fertig, Tristan Lopez here at Mira Mesa High School, the 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic, the longest running all-star football game in California. And California, you talk about all-star games and talent, this is the state.
Most certainly. People will say Texas, Florida, even Alabama, but I will go to my deathbed and tell you that California can compete with anybody across the country, especially Southern California and LA and San Diego.
We had the top quarterback in the senior class. We had the top quarterback in Achilles Smith Jr. out of the junior class as well.
And just last year, we had one of the top running backs
right.
in the country in Roderick going to Georgia. So that tells you not only are kids getting grown here and they're getting groomed to become these athletes, but some of the kids are moving here because they know the talent's good. They know they can get film. They know they can get offers, and they know coaches are coming here to recruit
right.
kids.
Yeah, Roderick Robertson was a perfect example, right? He got a lot of play at Georgia, and you talk about Julian Sain now at Alabama. You're starting to see these players now go to bigger programs in the SEC, which you didn't see a lot of. But let's get back to this game right here. Defense, and really it was that one turnover on special teams that set up the touchdown for Mason Shane in the north side.
Yeah, I mean, he's all over the field. That unfortunate fumble on the 3 is just something tough to put Pomado in that position, and don't know if they were running. Look trick to me. It looked like the running back forgot the ball. I don't know what happened, but the North is coming out and they're showing that they can compete. Not only are they physical, but they're talented, and they may know that already. They may have a chip on their shoulder, but they're coming and they're showing up, and they're up 7-0.
North has won 7 in a row. Before that, it was all South winning 5 in a row, but it's all North right now. What does the South have to do to pull out the win here today?
I think the South, I would say, take a little bit more shots. They established the run a little bit. They were finding holes here and there, getting gains of 7-8 yards. But I think Jackson Daniels, they're going to have to maybe mix it around a little bit, maybe get him in the slot, maybe get Makai Gray in some more space with bubble screens and making their playmakers make a play. But that defense is just so tough.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, all over the field. Mason Shane's back and forth, sideline to sideline. So I'm curious to see what the South coaches come up with.
North defense and South defense up front, they're not allowing any running lanes. So the running game is almost non-existent.
Yes.
Hudson Herbert, we haven't seen anything from him. The Grossmont quarterback, he had school records at Grossmont. When you talk about a quarterback that has school records over Anthony Lawrence.
His coach.
You know, his first year head coach. Anthony Lawrence was a guy at Grossmont and had a great career at USD. We're gonna see. I'm assuming we're gonna see Herbert. That's a guy that can sling it up and down the field.
Yeah, I mean, kid from Grossmont, Anthony Lawrence played against him. Shout out Anthony. His offensive mind is unreal.
Yeah.
You know, to put his player in that position to break his own records and to do what they did this year is amazing. But the South needs to come out. It's surprising that the run wasn't established with such big guys up front on both sides of the ball. That just tells you the defensive guys who are filling those holes. Jerome Roberts, Chain Taval. Then you got Mason Shane on the other end. They're being disciplined. They haven't taken a foot off their gas, and their season's ending, and they're here to make a statement. And linebackers are standing up today.
You know, I am a bit surprised that the South is down right now. This was one of the better South teams I had seen, especially defensively, and the defense has stepped up. But the offense is a little shaky right now, and I think a little bit of it, that to me, they have had a couple shots downfield, just unable to connect.
Yeah, the South needs to create an identity. I think going into the half, figure out what do we want to do. Do we want to try to establish the run, or are we going to come out firing?
Yeah.
And the North, defensively, they don't need to do anything as far as changing what they're doing. They'll have to adjust and see what the South comes out and does. But I expect, all the year I saw a lot of teams fire out in the second half and saw high-scoring games. Beginning of the game, very low scoring, but I'm hoping to see a lot more touchdowns in the second half, especially it being an all-star game.
I said this earlier in the first half. Carson Howard, it almost seems like this game is his right now after having a first half under his belt. And it looked like he got stronger and more confident as that first half went along.
Yeah, he's rolling out a lot, so that means he's either feeling under pressure too much or he's thinking that he can get to the end and make a play down the field. He had a couple shots. South was able to make a great play. I think it was Jaden Peterson from Bonita Vista made an amazing play on the ball. Yeah. But I think it's things like that. You're going to have to take more shots like that and see if the South will bite on it and see if they will bring a little bit more pressure and make those guys on the ends be more one-on-one.
It was the one turnover on special teams, setting up a Mason Shane rushing score to give the North a 7-0 lead heading into halftime. Bo Fertig, Tristan Lopez here on the Cali Photo Sports Network. Stay with us for exciting second half action as we catch up with Paul Rudy in the booth. And Mr. Lopez is going to head down to the field and catch up with a few players. So make sure you stay with us here on the Cali Photo Sports Network. It's the 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic here at Mira Mesa High School.
I figure if fucking Jason Buster probably won't come. I was talking to KD, and KD was like, "Are you going?" And I'm like, "Girl's home." She was like, "Well, me and Bob was cooking something." And I was like, "Don't let Christina say she made all the food." Who, KD? Oh, really? I know she went out with Dre and them last night. Yeah. They went to like TV. I was supposed to go, but it was cool, man. It was cool. I met some good girls. Luckily, a lot of them are Eric's girls. Yeah, yeah. There's Nah, it should be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. They kind of slid and picked up some runs on it. The game is on Friday. Yeah. It was early morning. It was stuck.
back here inside the booth for the 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic. You talk about greats. John Carroll, Papa Pig, and I'm hoping to catch up to one of them these days. Carroll, you've been a part of this All-Star game. You coached it earlier in your early years. What stood out to you in that first half?
Well, the first thing that stands out to me is the little beanie that Paul was wearing right
We're talking about the game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Although he does look stunning in that cap.
It's defense. It's all about defense. It's about the aggressiveness, the acceleration, the physicality of the defense. We were talking, I don't think it's weak, poor offense. I think defenses are just aggressive and talented.
Can I ask a question? Because this seems to be one of the biggest crowds ever for the Spanos All-Star Classic. I was curious, did you do anything promotion-wise, maybe appear on a renowned program somewhere along the way that just would increase the audience size exponentially like it has been?
Well, we showed up at the KUSI.
Yeah, I was going to think that must have been the difference, huh?
And there was this guy named Paul Rudy who does a great job in the mornings, and actually it was a phenomenal interview, and we really appreciate it.
Or let's turn around and check the second half as we watch Coach. How do you put in an offense in such a short period of time?
It's be brief, brother, be brief. And, one of the beauties about the game is a lot of plays are universal. So one team, they call them by a different language, but the play is universal.
So in your opinion, these two playbooks are similar in the X's and O's. They each have the same 20 plays or something?
Yeah, I would say that they probably, if they were smart, because they only had 7 practices, what they did, and they were smart, is they took the most common plays run
that everybody runs,
and that's what you do. You don't do any, and maybe 1 or 2 fancy little things that the kids have fun with.
You talked about the explosiveness during the half, Coach, of both sides of the ball on the offense, on the defensive end.
Well, I'm looking at it here. Of all the years that I've been associated with the game, this is the most talented defense on both sides of the ball, most active, most physical, most aggressive, and they're hindering the offense. The offense is not hindering itself.
Have you ever seen a blocked field goal with a player jumping over the snapper?
No, I
in an
have
All-Star
not.
game?
I have not.
So if John Carroll, the iconic Pirate, were back on the sidelines, how much would have his strategy evolved from his heyday when he was winning all those games up in Oceanside? What would you do differently?
Back then we were doing something unique. No one was doing what we were doing the way we did it, and I still don't see him quite doing it, but we would have had to evolve and advance.
And once again, the pressure. Let's show instant replay, Coach. I know you're great at breaking. Oh, that's from the last half.
Yeah, I didn't see the beginning of it, but I look at the size, I look at the strength, and I look at the finish. And
6'3", 260.
Yeah, and he fills that jersey out pretty well.
So it just becomes a game of attrition, a game of field position, doesn't it?
It's gonna be an error, just like we saw the fumble to get the 7 points for the North. It's going to be somebody's going to make an error some way that allows the offense to take advantage of it.
Carson Howard, 3rd and forever. He's going to go long at the far side of the field in double coverage.
Oh.
And the receiver comes down with the grab. That's Jaden Williams out of Mission Hills. Put that one in a tight window.
Boy, that was a too high throw where he had to beat the corner and get it there before the safety got over the top. Perfect throw and just a great catch.
What do you call that, a roof ball?
No, that would be a flat ball. That one's going to be a rope.
It has to be on a line.
It has to. He's got to beat the safety.
Yeah. Williams with the biggest reception of the game gets the ball to the North 46. Well, it's nice to have you guys in the booth showing some offense here and a run up the middle near midfield.
I was reading on Twitter or on X, and there was a coach that was talking about, if you have 4 of these concepts, and he was talking about 4 verts, outside zone, if a successful program can have just 4 or 5 simple concepts, and it could be a playbook that you could win with.
And running options off.
And out of those concepts, using the word concept, is there are a variety of things you do off of the same look. Like you were talking about, oh, look at that.
Another nice ball by Carson Howard. This time the reception by Bodie Estabrook. Let's see right here. Another nice tight ball over the corner.
Yep. It, huh?
Yep.
The Silver Pigskin finalist?
That's now a variation of throwing a fade to the number 2 receiver where he runs an angle route to get over the top of the corner if the corner is high to break underneath.
Yeah, and those options are based off of what the defense is giving.
Correct.
Right,
it's leverage.
Yeah.
But the options that you talk about on reducing the schemes, but you add more to each scheme.
Carson Howard, clean pocket.
He almost did it again.
Targeting call there.
And a flag on Titus Toilolo. Toilolo was the one who jumped over the snapper to block the field goal.
The penalty B is almost as much yardage as the completion would have been.
Well, you see these guys hitting like that. These guys are not playing flag, and they're not taking it easy, and they're not taking plays off. These guys came to play.
For some of these guys, it might be the last time they play a tackle football game, right?
I think that's true. They all dream. Several of them already have colleges offers and scholarships locked in. But for a lot of the guys,
this
might be the end of a long period of dreams.
Right.
What was the message when you were coaching to your all-star team?
Have fun.
Yeah.
It's compete. One of the greatest things, and both teams have said this, is the friendships that you create.
Right.
Guys that were your enemies in a way, all of a sudden become your friends, and the brotherhood of football takes over.
Yeah.
Nick Patterson on the short gain. What I appreciate about this game, not only seeing the best players play against the best, but some guys in smaller programs trying to fit that bill and show that they can play with the big dogs.
So they belong, yeah.
Yep.
And Nick Patterson is one of those guys, over 1,350 rushing yards on the season. He's one of those guys that is trying to show that, he could play with the best.
How many times did you coach in this game?
One time. Would have been 96 after the 95 season. The game used to be played in the summer.
A big hit in the backfield. That is James Tavow.
Boy, that's right what we were talking about there. I mean, that's aggressive, physical.
Downhill.
Oh.
Sac State picked up a couple good quality, hard-nosed kids in him and Roberts.
They did. I've seen both of those guys play, and I'm very impressed.
Hey, could you speak to something now in this era of the transfer portal and NIL money and kids hopping and bopping all over? Is your initial college decision as important as it once was, as far as where you're going to go play football?
That's a great question. No one's ever asked it. I would say no, it's not, because you can eventually just go. Here's the bottom line: if you're not in the mix for being a starter, by the time you're a sophomore to a junior, you're gone.
Yeah.
And if one of the things that kills, I think, San Diego State and the Mountain West is they used to take freshmen and develop them, and they would take a guy that the Big 10 or Big 12 or the Big Pac-12 wouldn't take, and they would take them and they would develop them.
And by
and
year 4 or 5, they could play.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Well, now once they get really good, guess what they do?
They go to the
They leave.
Yeah.
Marcus
They go to.
Radcliffe
They
is a
go.
perfect example to
Yeah.
safety.
There's no loyalty, but there's no loyalty from coaches. There's no loyalty from players. You're a team. You're a team for a year, and then it's okay. Go wherever you're going to go. I don't like it, but it's good for those kids to make money. But part of the deal is loyalty, and that's gone.
I think college football is for the worse for it.
Is he ready?
I think the sport is worse for it.
Agreed.
Because whatever happens at that level happens at the high school level. So
Yeah, agreed.
Trey Coleman with a 31-yard field goal.
that was one of the best drives of the game.
That was. Thank you, gentlemen.
Do you think that was the best drive of the game?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, Howard throwing
Those
into
are the
coverage.
best 2 throws and completions
Yeah.
of the game, getting them downfield.
I'm surprised, and correct me if I got it wrong, but I'm surprised more people aren't looking at him he seems to be that prototypical stand.
Oh, Carson.
Yeah.
Carson Howard. Yeah. Let's head down to Tristan Lopez, who is now joined by James Tavau of the South Side.
Yeah, what up, guys? I'm here with James Taval. James, talk about this experience for you in this game.
It's a good experience playing for, something bigger than just us, playing for just something big, just representing the South and just not playing for the South, but being the South team. So it's a great experience. I love it, and I'm just having fun, playing.
You're playing next to Jerome Roberts, a guy that's going to be playing in college. How does that feel to kind of get that chemistry down a little bit early on?
It clicked as soon as we jumped on the field. Me and him just playing. We're going up to Sacramento together, so he'll be at that mic back, I'll be at the Sam. So it's just, we clicked off jump, just lining up and seeing each other next to each other. So it clicked real fast.
Is there anything you're going to miss about playing here in San Diego in front of your family?
Most def, just the atmosphere and just being around, athletes in general, just coming down and supporting, and I love it. I'll miss this for sure. Yeah.
Good luck to you in college, man. I'm going to send it back to you guys up there.
Great job, Tristan. James Tavau going to Sac State, playing along with Jerome Roberts. Man, Sac State got two great linebackers, didn't they, Paul?
They did. And James, who we got to know a little bit on the Prep Picks report,
Right.
and certainly was wore the sounds of the game wire for us. He committed live on Good Morning San Diego. He just looks like a kid who you hated to play against because everything he does hurts. I mean,
He's lean and mean.
yes. I mean, he's not afraid to hit anybody, and he's aptly named. It's
James
Tavau.
Tavau.
Oh.
Jackson Daniels with the big.
Just one of those guys that, and much like Roberts, just both guys are going to be Hornets, and I want to follow Sac State a little more closely
Right.
because they have something cooking there.
Jackson Daniels, the Prep Pigskin Report, two-way player of the year. We also have Jerome Roberts, the defensive player of the year. Two guys making impacts on the South Side here tonight.
We should mention Roberts was also the All-CIF first defensive player of the year.
When you talk about linebackers, and defenders, he was no doubt 171 tackles on the season. This is Daniels in open space, tries to get to the edge, but tracked down once again. And you talk about just open field tackling. This is Mandy Adieza. Oh, we got to it a little late, but Adieza out of San Pasqual making the open field tackle and a loss.
We should comment. A nice-sized crowd here.
Yeah.
And considering that, we're not the only party in town right now going on, the fact to have this many people here, kudos to the Spanos All-Star Classic.
How cool is it to just continue to hear from Coach Carroll on so many different levels in the booth? He said he didn't have any juice, but man, he still has a lot still left.
No, I mean, I enjoy working with him as much as I've enjoyed working with anybody, just because it's been a learning experience.
And Gordon Meredith, big body tight end, big body receiver. Hudson Herbert rolling to the right and finding Meredith for the first down.
It's really a treat to come. A lot of these kids I see only on tape.
Yeah.
And to see them in this environment, now granted, it's not the most ideal environment for them, but because their playbook's limited.
Yeah.
But still, ability is ability, and it comes screaming
We
out.
saw
there.
Herbert right
Yeah.
there. Play breaks down, rolls to the right, and just finds a guy on the back shoulder. That wasn't even set up for Gordon Meredith. Bloom in motion. Herbert looks over the middle, has his receiver at the 50, inside South territory. That's Makai Gray with the speed. Paul, he was clocked at 21 miles per hour. That's speed right there.
You don't have to tell me about Makai Gray. We watched him throttle the Saints on our live game on KUSI. He's just 2 steps faster than anybody's trying to run with him.
Makai.
Another kid, I'm surprised people aren't. I think recruiters get so caught up in
size.
in the cookie cutter dimensions that
Right.
for every specific position that they forget that there's still no measurement for heart, and football ability and know-how.
Makai Gray averaged 25 yards per catch, and he had 30 right there on the run. This is Bloom up the middle, and the offense is starting to get it going a little bit here. The lane's starting to open up on the ground game, and the passing game starting to follow suit. That was Khalif Playmaker Bloom, the running back out of Morris.
We're down to 4:14 in the third quarter, and it's basically 2 long drives. I mean, this is kind of good football. I mean, drop the kinda. This is good football.
Bloom, in 5 games, averaged 6 yards per carry, 110 yards per game. And these are the type of games where they're meant for guys that have missed half a season, and Bloom is one of those guys out of Morris. Bloom stays in as a single back. Meredith, the slot receiver at the bottom of your screen. Makai Gray in motion. One-on-one, has a receiver in the end zone. Jackson Daniels brings in the 25-yard touchdown. Let's see right here. Oh, got to it a little late, but you can see right there, nice little celebration from crew. Jackson Daniels has been the go receiver for the South, and he gets the first touchdown for the South side.
You know, sometimes with all its complexities of X's and O's and all the, shifting of formations and man emotions.
Sometimes just beat the man.
Sometimes it's just playground. You go down by the jungle gym, cut left, and run faster than the guy trying to. And that was a case where it was pretty simple.
Jackson Daniels, the two-way player of the year, gets South on the board on the 25-yard touchdown. Great strike from Hudson Herbert. And he just beat his man, had a couple steps on the corner. This is a goal line formation. James Taval behind that big offensive line surges in for the 2-point conversion.
Interesting formation there, Bo.
It was a wildcat formation, but Taval, there was no other option but running it in. And South now chasing a pair, down 2, 10-8. And let's send it down to Tristan Lopez, who's with Jackson Daniels, who had the South touchdown.
Hey guys, I'm here with Jackson Daniels, Helix's very own. Jackson got that beautiful touchdown. How you feeling?
Feeling great. It's good to be out here with all my boys from other different schools. Couldn't be more grateful.
How's this experience for you? Practice, playing in the game, talent all around San Diego. How do you feel?
It's great. You always see these guys on TV, on PPR. I'm sorry. Well, all these coaches, all these players, everything is just great to all come together and represent the South.
So you are a senior, looking to play at the next level. What's college looking like for you right now?
I'm not sure yet, but I just know I'm going to be out of town. Yes, sir.
Good luck rest of the game, Jackson.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, Tristan, thank you very much. Jackson Daniels, the 25-yard touchdown reception, has at least a handful of grabs here tonight. Paul Rudy, he said the one thing he loves most is about playing with the guys he always watched on the Prep Picks and Report.
That's gotta love that, right?
Yeah. This one brought in inside the 5, trying to switch fields and unable to as the South rallies to the ball.
And I'm not sure what's going on here.
Talking.
Oh, now that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's unnecessary. That's somebody just ended their night.
More on a positive note, you're starting to turn into Roger Goodell yourself. At the PPR Gala, it's amazing to see all the guys that are awarded awards and then going over to you and give you hugs like you're the commish.
And I have to be honest with you, it means a ton because
I know it does. That's why I mentioned it.
This has been, this is gonna be on my grave. The pig lies here, So this is my legacy in the high school football thing. This is unfortunate here. What's happened? The emotions running high. But there's still no justification for throwing fists. Come on.
They said it was good. I thought the 2-point conversion was good. No?
I guess not.
Okay. I thought the 2-point conversion was good, but
Either that or the score has not been adjusted.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to go with the scoreboard right now. It says 10-6, but I thought the 2-point conversion from James Taval was good. Oh, and they did just update it. All right.
All right. So we're gonna have to wait for who's still playing. At least who threw the one punch for the for the South.
We're not going to go back to that.
Oh, okay. But I just want to know that player's done. I think they're talking to him over there. Was it?
Yeah. I mean, even if we did know, probably not a good idea that we mentioned their names, unfortunately, in this atmosphere of all-star games. And it is unfortunate because emotions are running high. These are all alpha males, right? Guys that are elite at their position and at football, but sometimes your emotions could get the best of you. That's one of the things that colleges look at.
Yeah. I mean, who can keep their composure? And I was just about to share with you a great feel-good story that before the Fifth Star flight, over by the stands, I was walking to the concession stand, and Coach Dave Dunn from Lincoln High School is dressed as Santa Claus. He's already got the beard.
I saw him this morning,
and he's already in. And we had the greatest little chat. Coach and I have known each other for a better part of 25 years, and to see him in such a festive mood, Coach Dunn, what you've done for your community is second to none. And Coach Carter's here. They're here obviously to watch their contingent of Hornets play, but to see. I'm not used to seeing him in anything but green, and he's wearing red.
Well, I saw him earlier, and you talk about giving back to the community. He was at the Jackie Robinson YMCA. It was a toy giveaway earlier today, and Coach Dunn, not only him, but the Lincoln players as well.
So we're waiting for them to sort all this out.
Okay. Yeah, is he ready? Oh, okay. We're going to catch up with Mason Shane in a bit. He had multiple tackles in that first half, as well as a reception and a rushing touchdown.
I'm not sure what's taking so long. I think you have 2 ejections.
Yeah.
And unless both penalties are on the same side, which I don't think there are, I think it's just going to be they're going to cancel one another. Offsetting penalties. I believe.
Jack Stahl. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on. All right. So we have a personal foul face mask, and then after the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. It's almost like a commercial at this point.
Yeah.
Who do you have on your fantasy team? Who needs points? Who's down by 1 and needs a player to be kicked out of the game because he can't score any more points?
Well, I mean, no one was seriously injured in the fracas, but I just think they're going to have to eject at least one player.
Yeah. So during the play, there was a face mask on the kickoff team. That was the South. Face mask by the South. And then after the play was over, that's when the ruckus started.
Do we have the refs mic'd up?
No, we do not.
Do the game have the refs?
No, they do not. But
well, that was interesting. And
23 and 45.
All right, so then I got the numbers wrong, wasn't it?
So Elias Zahir
is out
of the North, and I thought it was Arath Leva, and Arath Leva from Lincoln is out. And Tristan Lopez is now down with Mason Shane. We'll send it down to him on the field.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Mason Shane of the North. Mason, you're having a great game, rushing touchdown, all over the field on defense. How's this experience for you playing with these guys around the county?
Oh, man, it's a blessing, honestly, because, we played each other all 4 years, and to be on the same team and, play together, it's a blessing.
How's it feel to get the only touchdown for your team, and you're playing both ways here in this game?
Oh, no, it's amazing. All props to my O-line and all these guys on my team, man. I couldn't do it without them.
I'd imagine you want to play at the next level. What is college kind of looking like for you right now?
Nothing much, really. Just a couple offers, George Fox University, Benedictine, but still on the waiting list right now.
Coming from a very competitive division where you played football, what are you going to miss most about playing high school football here in San Diego?
Making big plays, me and my guys. I'm going to miss the coaching. I'm going to pretty much everything.
Cool. Good luck the rest of the game, Mason.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll get back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Tristan. Mason Shane had the only touchdown in the first half and the only touchdown for the North, as Northside is currently up 10-8 with 3:21. I think we're going to get back to action. So as Paul was mentioning, after the skirmish, we're reset, ready to rock and roll. All those penalties were offsetting. So Carson Howard now back in the game. And to me, it's the North has the advantage because Carson Howard is playing all game.
Yeah, he can sling it.
And you saw that in that opening drive here in the second half. This is Jake Sweeney out of Torrey Pines. Once again, the South rallying to the ball, not allowing any running room for Sweeney.
Well, if there's any doubt as to the wanting to win this game, I think you just saw that the emotional cup runneth over. These kids are playing hard. In that case, a little too hard. But boy, it took 12 minutes to figure that all out, man.
It's actually Patterson in the backfield right now. Loss of 1 brings up a 2nd and 11 for the North side. 2 receivers to the right, 2 receivers to the left, to Howard. Howard looks left, plants, throws a strike, and completes another pass. So Howard's starting to find his groove here in the second half, and that's Tyler Becker out of Del Norte.
We got a lot of airtime on the PPR this season.
Jonathan Smith on the tackle for the South Side. The short gain will bring up a 3rd and 5 for the North Side. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. 3 receivers to the right of Howard. Howard has to escape the pocket, has a receiver over the middle, throws it backfield near the first down marker, and it looks like Howard's going to pick up a first down to Nick Klein.
I'm going to say it's going to be a half yard short.
They are saying it's short.
Yeah. Now.
They're going to say it's a half yard short.
They're bringing in the jumbo package on their own 20.
They're bringing in the big boys.
Yeah.
And on comes Boynton from Bishops as well. We saw them try to draw the South offsides. They're not going to do that this time. And Howard's going to push forward for a first down.
Isn't it amazing how the Eagles made the tush push successful, and now everybody is doing it? The Vikings tried to do it and it cost them a game against Cincinnati today. They had a 180-pound receiver doing the tush push instead of like the North squad here where they put in the big boys. But it's amazing how football is a copycat game. Everybody sees something that works, they tweak it a little bit, and they make it their own.
North picks up a first down after the short gain on the QB sneak. Howard, 3 receivers to his right, or 3 receivers to his left, single side receiver at the bottom of your screen.
Uh-oh.
Howard brings it in. Has a receiver over the middle. And once again, an off-schedule play, trying to make something out of nothing. And that was Ferris out of Westview, unable to bring it in.
That was a Howard well-done scramble. That ball should have been caught. That would have been a nice gain. We're taking them across midfield.
A lot of storylines towards the end of the season. What were some of the storylines that stood out to you, Paul, as the season progressed and ended?
I guess because we were there so often, and we're on, I think, for 2 of their games, the watching Granite Hills gain confidence. You know, I think a lot of, as Howard scrambling here.
Howard, once again, using his feet to create
throwing that
time.
one away.
Throws that one away.
Everybody, as the course of the year was, was Lincoln and Carlsbad, Lincoln and Carlsbad. And then it was Helix, Lincoln, and Carlsbad. And nobody was giving Granite Hills their due. And they just systematically earned their due. And to me, that is one of the...
And they won it in close contest.
Yes, and they never gave up. And
down 13 twice in the championship game. There's a reason why Coach Cobb won the Coach of the Year. And it, for a while there, it was Coach Verlaine Batofe and what he did at Mount Miguel, turning around that program unanimously throughout the year. But as the season progressed, it was Granite Hill's program that took the story.
Yeah, and that's not to take anything away from
No, of
Verlaine.
course
That was a pretty magical.
And the pressure.
Howard liked to have that one back.
Pressure creates the errant throw from Howard.
I just think at the end of the day, beating 3, 2, and 1 on your way was a more impressive feat than what Verlaine did.
And especially after the year he had the year before, with still, media and other teams just overlooking Granite Hills after winning a state championship game. Was impressive.
Man, when they jumped out to a 14-0 lead in their AA semifinal, I thought, oh boy, this is they're going to win. And then, of course, the
Mission Viejo just got the best of them. Makai Gray off the bounce. This is where he's best in tight space, but North is going to rally to it and not give up too many yards after the punt return. That leaves 8 seconds on the clock, and South can take their first lead of the game with the score. It hasn't been the prettiest offensive performance we've seen from either side, but it's been a competitive game, which hasn't been the case the past few years.
Right. I mean, when I first came to town, the North was dominating this series, and simply because all the best football was being played north of the 52. That is no longer the case.
And Tristan Lopez now with Jaden Mangini, who had a 10-touchdown performance in the San Diego section game. We'll send it down to him.
Yeah, Bo, I had to grab Mangini. This man made history in the section championship game. 10 touchdowns. How did that even come about, and what did you feel after that game?
Shoot, I mean, I was out there playing ball, trusting my guys. It was complimentary football that game. I knew on my 9th one, I was like, hey, Coach Carmi, our OC, let me get the 10th, and he gave me a running play. So it was just nice to get that ring in senior year.
That's awesome. Talk about this experience, though. I'm sure this is cool to cap off your career. You're going to be heading off to college. You'll be playing at Navy next year.
Yes, sir.
How did this week feel to play with top talent around the county?
I mean, I love my whole high school year, practicing, but these are the most fun practices. Just high-level guys, run around every day at practice, have fun, screaming, laughing. There's a lot of guys out here that just love the game, and it's nice to be surrounded by that.
How excited are you to go to Navy and show them that you can play football and you can hang with the best?
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's an honor to be a part of it. I just want to go out there, represent San Diego well, and be one of the greatest to come out of there. So,
congrats.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of the game, man.
Appreciate it, sir.
I had to do that one for you, Bo.
Yeah.
10 touchdowns in the championship game is unreal. Back to you guys.
Best San Diego section championship performance, Jaden Mangini with his 10 touchdowns. La Jolla Country Day scored a section best in the championship game, 73 points. And you had Mangini on Good Morning San Diego.
We did. Promoting this game, we had both Jaden and Kassab, two gentlemen that are just fine young men who, you put kids. Back in the day, you used to put kids in front of the camera and they'd lock up. It was a coin flip as to whether or not you'd get a full sentence. Those two young men, they were calmer than the host and more articulate than the host. And they spoke to the importance of playing in this game and what it meant to them. And I just can't think that, if I'm the Spanos family as I'm trying to promote this game, and I can't think of having two better representatives. And the room almost applauded as they... they spoke with great eloquence, and I was very impressed with their demeanor, especially in the case of Kassab, who's not going to play in the game, and he's still going. And boy, if I'm recruiting and whatever level he's going to play at next, you want those character people to represent your program, And obviously, Mangini going to the Naval Academy, his character is already spoken for.
Yeah. Starting both ways. He's playing strong safety today. Started middle linebacker in that section championship game. And to go from middle linebacker and start at quarterback is a transition that not a lot of people can handle. And Herbert goes down. Pressure off the edge.
And now, all right, now this is ridiculous. The retaliation is also going to draw a flag.
As we tried to get to the instant replay, but when a game is competitive like this, it brings out that extra energy.
Right. I'm just trying to see who got his helmet ripped off. excuse me while I put my glasses. It appears Ryan Mason had his headgear ripped off by a player I did not see. You know, at this rate, if this continues, we might see a ball game called early, right?
All right, so unsportsmanlike conduct on both sides. Penalties will offset. No numbers were given. So we're just going to replay that down.
But that retaliation was unnecessary. If you don't swing back, you get the nice 15-yard pickup.
Oh, actually, the retaliation happened after the play, so the play does count, which will bring up a 4th down, and the South team will have to come on and bring the punt team.
My point being is you'd have an automatic first down if you had just kept your cool.
11:32 remaining in regulation. Low snap and a punt that will stay on the north side. That's where they'll start their next offensive possession. And now we're going to send it down to Tristan Lopez. He's with Rowdy Seda out of Granite Hills.
Yeah, guys, I'm with Rowdy Seda, Granite Hills. I got to touch on this first. How did it feel to finish this season like you guys did?
Oh, it was amazing. I loved every second of every game we played, even the ones we won by 1 point. I loved it. I love the CIF Open Division game against Lincoln. I'm like friends with all these kids now, so I loved it.
Speaking of that, you're now playing with some fellow Lincoln guys and other guys around the county. Talk to that talent. Cause I know you guys are talented, but talk to the talent that you're seeing in San Diego.
Dude, I can't even say anything. I love it. I love playing with these guys. I love playing with all of them. I don't know. I can't really. There's no words to express it. I just love it.
You talked about you want to be a fighter instead of going playing college football. Is that what you're planning?
John Carroll.
Yes, sir. So I'm planning on being a firefighter after high school. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, enjoy the rest of the game, man. Good luck to you with it. Future fighter here in San Diego, guys. Rowdy Seda, back to you guys.
Yeah, that's a great story, Tristan. Thank you very much. And we now have the coaches and some of the leaders of the San Diego High School Sports Association down on the field talking to the coaches. There's Coach Hobbs from the north side and Coach
I would have to think that they're conveying the message that if this continues, they're going to stop the game.
Yeah.
John Carroll does not look happy. Gary Chapman there is talking to the head official there, and he doesn't look happy. Coach Hobbs didn't look happy. And
you can see right now the coaches
like if you want to
in a huddle with both sides.
If you want to finish the game, you got to play.
Well, and those are two old school football guys too. You talk about Gary Chapman, that's a guy that's a living legend in the South Bay, and you talk about Coach Carroll, living legend in the North County.
And I know Coach Carroll's been out of the coaching ranks for a little while. He
still do it.
He spends time just polishing his jewelry that no one else will ever accumulate. But he still scares me. He scares me when he says hello. And when I get on the wrong side of him, he really scares me. And so I imagine right now.
So according to the officials, we got an update. It's a warning to both sides, as Paul was mentioning. If this physicality continues after the play,
not physicality. If it keeps being this chippy, they're going to just pull the plug.
11:23, North 10, South 8. North has led the way. Pressure off the edge. Carson Howard steps up, throws a strike over the middle, inside the 10, and that's a North touchdown. That is Jalen St. Paul. That was one of the cleaner pockets Howard has seen, and threw a strike to Jalen St. Paul, the product out of Carlsbad. Jalen St. Paul went both ways, and offensively here tonight, making an impact. Carson Howard is heating up as his game's going on.
You know, he's showing why he was the fans' choice for Silver Pigskin finalist. He's your prototypical drop back passer with enough mobility to extend the play. Kind of in that Ben Roethlisberger mode, if you will. Hard to bring down. Again, I'm surprised that people aren't jumping all over him.
Trey Coleman.
I'll be very fascinated to see where he ends up playing.
We have movement up front. Knocking back 5. You know, we were talking about NIL deals. We were down on the field with Trey Coleman, and we were joking with him about what truck he's going to be getting.
Doesn't he get a Dodge Ram?
I think
he's a scholarship athlete, right?
Yeah, so he gets the option, it sounds like, at Utah.
Yeah, he was with us on signing day, and I asked him that question. He seemed very excited about his choice.
So the movement up front will knock Coleman back 5 yards, still well within his range.
We should mention Wednesday is early signing day, right, for football athletes. Some of these kids still haven't made their decision, and they're going to want to make it in advance of the 17th, right?
And the extra point is blocked off the edge by the south side. This is the second blocked attempt. That looked like Makai Gray off the edge.
God,
Yep, it was Makai Gray out of Lincoln with the extra point block. So Titus Toilolo had the field goal block earlier in the game, and now Makai Gray with the extra point block off the edge. Talk about acceleration.
Signing day's on the 20th, so they've...
Yeah, Wednesday,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in this new era of signing days, and it seems like there's now more 3 signing days, right? That some of the fun has been taken out of National Letter of Intent Day, at least as it relates to football athletes, because, and again, that's all.
Well, you were part of the signing day. What was it, a month ago? Like, how was the buzz is still there?
The buzz is there, but not as much for football athletes because there's multiple signing days, and they don't all. A lot of their decisions are made well in advance of it.
And Tristan Lopez is now down on the field with Jalen St. Paul, who had that big touchdown reception. Let's send it down to him.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with Jalen St. Paul. Describe us that play real quick on touchdown.
Well, we ran a skinny post. We knew the corners weren't the best, so they was going to take me on it and score a touchdown.
Talk about what college is looking like for you. What do you have offers from?
I got an offer from USD, currently talking to UC Davis and Southern Utah.
And I assume you want to play at the next level at wide receiver. Talk about the talent you're playing against here in this game and the opposite team.
Yeah, the talent's definitely good. South players, they're good, but, we're a little bit better. So,
what are you going to miss playing in San Diego, most importantly from Carlsbad?
Just the environment, just especially at Carlsbad, like the loud crowd and all that. Like it's just a great place to be.
So you're hoping to get a quarterback as good as Julian Saint?
100%. He's a great quarterback.
Good luck the rest of the game, man. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Tristan. Looks like Jackson Deal back onto the field. Going to try to bring back the south side. Jalen St. Paul talked about the student body at Carlsbad, one of the better fan bases in all of high school football.
Yeah. I believe they won the Viewer's Choice Fan of Student Body Award. So
I was at that game, the Open Division semifinal game.
I'm told that was off the charts.
The energy was so electric. Being a South Bay reporter, I never make it up to the north to cover a game, but that game was just electrifying. It was one of the best, as far as energy-wise, it was the best game I had ever been a part of at the high school level.
I think what made me believe what you just said was we had Julian Sayin in the podcast, because we have a big game right there.
Yeah. That was James Taval.
Taking it right up the gut.
Yep.
We had Sayan on the podcast, and we were asking him, okay, you've had these 2 devastating defeats, one at Snapdragon against Lincoln and one at home against Granite Hills. Which one hurts most? And he said the Snapdragon game, and obviously that was for an open division title. And I said, well, why? And he goes, I'll tell you what, the Granite Hills game, as much as it hurt to lose that game, that was one of the most fun football experiences it was the most fun football experience ever. That goes, the crowd was just insane, and somebody had to lose, and unfortunately it was us. But
you talk about quality games, too. I know Montel Allen was on that podcast with us during Good Morning San Diego, and unfortunately I had to take the other side, but I was kind of with him as well, being there. And that was a game that was never led by more than a touchdown. It was just back and forth all game long. And the reception by Jackson Daniels from Jackson Deal brings up a 2nd and short. Deal's going to keep, has a seam, gets into North territory, and picks up a 1st down.
They're having success with that read option.
Jackson Deal comes up a little shaken. It's basketball season for him, but he's still playing quarterback. This is a coaching staff from La Jolla, so he knows his offense very well.
Yeah, you think he's run that play a little bit?
Yeah. Over 1,300 rushing yards on the season from a quarterback.
He's having a field day with disguising the mesh. And
South down 1 possession after that missed extra point, off that blocked extra point. So a score and a 2-point conversion, this game would be tied. Deal. Ooh, James Taval gives a great block. Let's see if we can catch that on film.
Gotta see that again.
This is Taval from the running back position, just lays out the defensive end.
Who's twice as big as he is.
Oh, they're not going to call a foul on that, are they? Not a penalty. Look at, you can see the referee saying that wasn't a penalty, man. There's no way. I got to call it. The white cap says I got to call it. Blindside block, there's absolutely no way that was a blindside block.
He was facing him. Just a horrific call.
Oh. The only thing I could think of was he was engaged with a blocker, but that has nothing to do with anything.
It is still football. I realize that we're not any hard hit now. It gets scrutinized, but they were parallel. They're square up almost. So
What else do you want him to
the
do?
defender was merely, his eyes weren't on Taval. They were on the quarterback, but that didn't make it a blindside hit.
No.
They were facing one up.
And the other thing, it kills what was a
great drive.
decent drive for the South Side. So that, yeah, that's
Unfortunately, in the interest of preserving the sport, so it doesn't get.
Yeah. Well, and I
It
think
doesn't
maybe
go-
a little bit of it too was all the extracurricular activity before that.
That might be factoring into it as far as trying to keep everything under control. But it also speaks to what a football player Sac State is getting because, again, ow, by Taval.
First and 25, replay the down. Jackson Deal down the far sideline, under pressure, overthrows his intended receiver.
Boy, that's a drive-changing play. Now suddenly you're behind the chains.
Paul Rudy Beaufort, Bert Grossman was supposed to catch up with us in the first half. Unfortunately, he came down with the flu. Bert, if you're watching, we wish you the best. Paul says, take care.
Yes, what is it? Starve a cold, feed a fever? But be careful what you feed it with.
That's the second time Bert has bailed on me in a broadcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll give him another chance.
You won't.
Oh, Bert's a good man. 2nd and 25 after the incomplete pass. 3 receivers to the right of Jackson Daniels, or Jackson Deal, that is. Daniels, the single-side receiver at the top of your screen. He's been the go-to receiver for the South Side. Deal looks that way. Great coverage. Deal
Is that Wilkin?
gets away initially, but I know this is the guy that you like, Wilkins from Torrey Pines. The motor on him to stay with Deal. I know that was the guy that kind of came on late and
Right.
that really caught your eye throughout the season.
Absolutely. And again, doesn't maybe have the dimensions that you're looking for at the D1 level. But boy, he's intelligent.
Yeah.
And again, how do you measure his heart? Because his heart is.
Well, the motor right there.
It's
sometimes you miss that tackle and you slow down. He kept going. 8:30 and counting here in regulation. Third and forever for Jackson Deal. 3 receivers to his right. He's going to throw a quick hit near side to Artie Estrada out of central behind a couple blocks. Can't get back to the original line of scrimmage in the south. Is going to have to punt.
But a nice pickup to shorten the field as far as for their punter. Maybe win the field position game as we
have a timeout by the south side.
Interesting. Why would you call timeout here unless you're thinking about going for it?
That is MVP. I'd say the kicker, Trey Coleman. I think he's missed a couple blocks. Let us get back to you on that. Early, I'm thinking Mason Shane from the north, and then from the south, Jackson Daniels.
More so than Howard?
Yeah. Well, Mason Shane has done it on the offensive and defensive side. That's the only thing. But if Carson Howard keeps the offense rolling, then yeah, he's definitely going to make a good case for MVP. I like your Carson Howard, though. That was just a great opening drive in the second half. And I think, having 3 quarterbacks on one side is almost at a disadvantage because
Absolutely.
you don't allow the quarterback to get into a nice
in a groove. Because you're obligated to play all 3. They're all part of the All-Star team.
And they're going for it. Paul, right on cue. South called the timeout because they're coming out and going for it. 4th and 15.
I wonder, unless you're not confident your punter can pin him back deep.
I think they're more confident in Jackson Deal to show that he can make this play. Deal steps up in the pocket, under pressure. He's going to have to get rid of it. He's going to tuck and run, going to have to get through that defense, and he cannot. The pressure from that defensive front once again, not allowing Deal to sit clean in the pocket. And that's been the case all night, Paul.
I guess that is kind of a vote. Sort of your thoughts about your defense. They're not going to be. Maybe they don't have another stop in them. Is what is behind that strategy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if you weren't confident in your defense's chances before that 4th down play, you're going to be even less confident now that they're taking the ball over on their own 45-yard line.
North is going to take the ball over, turnover on downs at their own 45. 7:55 remaining in the 4th quarter. North. Carson Howard tries to beat that cover 2 again. And Titus Toilolo.
Ball was there a little late.
Stays up. We saw Toilolo get flagged on a late hit on a similar play in the first half.
Again, every hard hit now
is magnified.
Yeah.
You had so many great interviews on set. Was there any other than Mangini and Kassab? I know you spoke with Jerome Roberts as well. I know he stood out to you. Were there any other interviews that really stood out to you?
Who were the kids that... Well, I'm always prone... You know, the one I really enjoyed the most was the lineman from Poway. He was
the
Clifford.
brothers.
Yeah, the Clifford.
Clifford.
In hindsight, I wish we had them both on. That was my mistake. We had time restraints that particular night, but I thought he was quite the character. And I'll tell you who else I liked was the defensive end out of Mission Hills, Class. He was he was very class. The way he spoke about his grandfather, and it just, it's easy watching the news and reading the paper and scrolling on social media. It's easy to get down on our youth because those platforms only show the ugly side of. But then I get to witness the kids that are making a difference in their community, and it's very uplifting.
Carson Howard with the strike to Nick Klein. And right now, Howard is slicing up this defense, Paul.
Well, I mean, I guess there you're seeing the rationale in going for it on 4th down, though 4th and 9, I'd rather make them go the length of the field than have a short field.
Jonathan Swift on the tackle for the South Side under 7 minutes and counting. Klein's had a nice second half.
Any points here pretty much ices it, right?
Unless we see something wild, which I'd be okay with here in this All-Star game. 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic. This is Jake Sweeney, the 6'1" running back out of Torrey Pines with a short gain and is pushed back from the South Side.
Wouldn't it be fun to extend the football season one more week and take the best All-Stars from this game, and pit them against the best All-Stars from
I was actually thinking that when riding up here. Yeah, the season seems to be so long.
Yeah, it's
especially with these, the Lincolns and the Granite Hills running late into the season and the state playoff games. It's
all right. Then how about this? Keep the season the same length, but instead of North playing the South, San Diego's best.
Well, that's kind of what the McCossie Bowl is, in its 7th year. Howard keeps and is brought down behind the line of scrimmage.
So why can't there be two?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, and they'd be both flying under the banner of the Spanos All-Star Classic.
Yeah. Well, Coach B has done an exceptional job with the McCossie, and he has his own thing going on. Unfortunately it's taken away from the North Side because they took one of their quarterbacks. It's the reason why the North Side only has one quarterback.
Who'd they snag?
They took Jack Snyder from Del Norte. Snyder was practicing with the North Side, is no longer playing with the North Side. He's playing in the McCossie Bowl.
It'd be nice to all the All-Star entities, of which there are so many, to all sit down and work out a calendar.
And that's usually the case, but unfortunately this season it just didn't work out. But how awesome is it SDFNL, not only the boys All-Star game next week, but they get a girls All-Star game.
And kudos to Montel Allen and Ruben Pena.
Oh, yep.
Two unsung heroes in the San Diego high school football community.
You talk about advocates for the next level for kids who get lost.
And I came late to their party. I did not give them their proper due until I got to know them, and now I regret wasting a decade.
And we have a timeout by the South Side. We're now going to send it down onto the field to Jamil Kassab and Tristan Lopez.
Yeah, Bo, I'm here with Jamil. Jamil, talk about what you experienced your senior year. Going into your senior year, an underclassman nominee of the year, and you had a tough route.
Yeah, so I went in the season, of course, all senior season supposed to go out. I went all out, and fortunately in the 6th game, I reached out and it broke my collarbone, and then we did pretty good from there. We had a 5-5 record, not too bad, but personally, I've trained my whole life to go out hard, so when I saw that first down, I had to go out for it. Broke my collarbone, but hey, man, I'm coming back.
Well-deserved nominee for this game, but it happened to you again in practice this week. Talk about what that felt like, and I know you're trying to make a play, but you want to play this game.
When I play football, man, it's all out, so I wasn't really too worried about it. Doctors told me there's a chance of it breaking again, but I went all out and dove for a ball and landed on it wrong and broke it again, so we're still recovering, but we'll be back for college.
Cool. Speaking of college, what does that look like for you?
So right now, I'm just trying to play D1, D2, D3, whatever I can get. Right now, I have a little D2s looking at me and a lot of D3s.
You make the call.
Hopefully play ball next level.
Talk about this experience. I know you're not able to play, but to see the talent around San Diego, what does that feel like?
Oh, yeah. We got a squad, man. 16A, we up right now. Everybody didn't think we were going to win, but we showing out, man. We got talent.
Cool. Good luck with your career and good luck with the rest of the game.
Appreciate y'all.
Back to you guys, Bo.
All right, thank you, Tristan. Jamil Kassab, you talk about a great junior year and just unfortunately falling to injury, and he re-injured his collarbone. And that was a Ramona program that back-to-back San Diego section championship appearances, and a lot of that was because of the two-way player in Jamil Kassab.
Absolutely. We got to see him in our Sounds of the Game segment.
Yeah.
His leadership just screamed through the screen as we just saw a high jump over the chains there by two guys on the north. This measurement getting a lot of attention.
The guy's having fun. Guys up front having fun. That's big number 77, David Portasano out of Oceanside. You talk about big boys, El Camino, Oceanside. they provide those. It's one of the reasons why the North has been, overall since 1995, since they made it the North and South format, the North is up 16-11, winning the last 7. And Jake Sweeney spins off of a tackle and falls forward for a couple.
It looks like they're just going to play power football the rest of the way and chew up what is left on the clock. 4:17.
So for those folks back at home, Papa Pig off season. What does the off season look like for you?
For me, I spent the last week and a half writing thank you notes. And for those of you who, this reminds me of the old Texas Wishbone days, right?
Howard keeps, rolls left, has a receiver open in the end zone. That's a touchdown, north side. Tobla Arojo. Howard rolling left, throws across his body, and finds Arojo in the end zone.
I'm sorry, but Bo, I have to just disagree with you. I think Carson Howard is your...
Well, now I would say yes. Yeah.
Do we have to inform anybody?
I think the gentleman next door. I think they get it now at this point. Go ahead, let them know.
Yes, they had already reached this.
Yeah. Yeah. After that throw, Carson Howard 2 passing touchdowns on the night. Yep. Well, and it really was you coming into the booth that sparked the offense for the north side and the south side. And now Carson Howard is now down with Tristan Lopez. Let's send it down to him.
You were supposed to run a corner.
Hey, Bo, I'm here with Carson Howard. What's it looking like out there for you guys? You guys are picking it up.
Yeah, it's fun. Playing with people you played with, but played against all over the county. It's fun to talk to them. And you see right now the great players of the county. We're doing great right now. I love playing with this team. They're really fun to play with.
Speaking of that, talk about your experience this week in this game. Like the guys that you played against, but played with. The North is very talented, but.
Yeah, as I said before, it's just great getting to know these guys. Guys, we were opponents before, but now you're teammates, right? And it's an entirely different aspect. You might have been talking trash to them during the game, but now it's all jokes and laughs, as you can see.
Cool. What's your future looking like? What do you want to do in college?
I want to play Division I football. I want to play football at the next level, so I'm trying to get that right now.
Well, you're on your way. Good luck with the rest of the game, Carson. Yeah. Back to you guys.
Carson Howard, right now the leader, MVP of the game, not only for the north side, but I say of the game.
Well, I didn't see as much of the first half, obviously, as you did, but from what I've seen in the second half, if there's a second half MVP, it's him.
Well, this has been a second half game, no doubt about that. North had a 7-0 lead heading into the half, and it was a half-yard punch-in by Mason Shane off of a turnover, so it wasn't even a long offensive drives. The best drives we've seen have been in the second half, and they've been led by the arm of Carson Howard.
So you're down 16 with 3:34 to play. The clock is as much an enemy as your opponent, so I think you have to go into your no huddle, hurry up.
And it's going to be Sean Pomato to try to lead the South down the field, overthrowing his intended receiver.
And what's problematic about this, if the deck isn't stacked enough against you, you probably don't work on your 2-minute run and gun drill very much in the 7 days you have.
Right. So you were, before being rudely interrupted by Carson Howard, because, the season doesn't stop for you. You might have a week off. But
well, I'll tell you, the most challenging thing for me is the season is done, and we have so many people to thank at the end. And I try to write a handwritten thank you note.
Including our friend, Coach Carroll.
I just scored.
You ask and he delivers, as always. Is that for me? No. There it is.
God bless. Thank you.
That's a good man, Coach Carroll. And he gave you a newer sweater than his.
I know. I'm still a couple years behind, aren't I?
One. That's all right.
But and I'll tell you what, Bo. Back when I was a little kid growing up, My mother made us, before we could play with our Christmas toys, we would have to write a thank you note to Santa. It was one of those, for the people who are listening to this, it's a lost art, writing a handwritten thank you note.
Right.
It is so important, be it if you're thanking someone for a job interview or for anybody who's done you a favor. It is the most powerful tool that is ignored in contemporary society. It's the power of the handwritten note. And it's a lesson my mother taught me many years ago.
And that ball is intercepted on the near sideline. One brought in by Jalen Vasney. And it's unraveling for the South right now.
Right. I hope they just take four knees here and let's let this game end in a civil manner. So anyhow, I'm spending time and I'll tell you what, if you don't handwrite notes a lot, your handwriting, I look like a doctor writing a prescription for oxycodone. You know, it is. So by the time I got to my 30th note, I'm done, and now I'm not going to think about high school football for a while.
For a month.
Yeah. And then
back at it.
You know, with our new, the 26th season is going to be different because we're now under new management, and it's going to be where our station is under major renovation. So things that we take for granted in the way of live shots, and it's going to be a different show in 2024. And how different, we don't know yet.
I think we can wrap it up. We've gone through enough player interviews. We'll just wrap it up. Under 3 minutes remaining.
I mean, there's
the third annual Alex Spanos game. North with a commanding 24-8 lead right now. Looking to score again on this drive, or at least run the clock out.
I think it bears repeating that the North had an advantage in that they had a quality quarterback that was going to play the whole way.
Yeah.
Howard got better every time he touched the ball.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. You know, South losing the last 7 games, I thought they had a really good chance coming into this game, but I couldn't agree more with the fact that Howard just, as the game went on, Howard just continued to get better, and that was really the storyline from this one.
Because start of the second half, he had those 2 completions where he was throwing into coverage.
Yep.
Both receivers were covered, and he just
showed the ability to fit it in tight windows on a rope.
I know Coach was saying it was a direct throw. I thought he kind of feathered that first one in pretty nicely. But I'll acquiesce to the coaches.
Looks like a delayed game.
1:32 left. How about just a couple knees and?
Yeah, I think maybe they're just trying to get some extra guys some looks that haven't necessarily got the playing time that they thought they'd get in an all-star game. And I know that's one of the more difficult things for a coach to get guys in that, you know, we're expecting to play in this big-time game. Handoff stretch. Looks like a pass. That ball's going to be intercepted at the 10. Oh, and then dropped.
Oh.
That was Jaden Mangini, who only has one hand.
Yes.
Like, you could score 10 touchdowns, but can you pick the ball off with one hand? The fact that Mangini is still playing with a club is impressive in itself.
It speaks to how badly he wants to be in the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
he has nothing left to.
That already has an offer. I mean, he's locked and loaded, about to play at the Naval Academy next year.
He had a little collision there with Jonathan Smith, I think. Well, what did we miss there?
Roughing the passer.
Oh.
Late. Although it was a running back who passed
roughing
the ball.
roughing the halfback.
The running back.
Well, now, how about just take a knee?
I think the North they want to put it on them.
What? But they already did. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And maybe the They're bringing in the heavies.
Well, at this point, I wouldn't mind seeing, a defensive lineman possibly running the ball to see what they got in them. Make it a little bit exciting. But I hear what you're saying. Don't add insult to injury.
Yeah. Disappointing
Loss for the South Side. I mean, there's still a minute 3 remaining, but this game is just about over. SDFNO, the girls flag football.
What about it?
How cool is that? They had the first ever San Diego section championship game. We had girls flag football for the first time on the PPR.
Yeah, right.
It's nice to see girls flag football starting to gain traction.
I think that is one of the, if I may be so bold as to speak of our own product that you and I are so deeply entrenched in. I think that was one of the cool things about the 2023 season 25 in our books, the fact that we involved not only the girls flag football athletes, but also the girl cheerleaders in the squad up segment done by, I thought, football is no longer just a guys only sport, and I think we gave them their due on the show. And that first down should be enough to run out the clock.
Loose ball, but whistles will blow. As we put a bow on this game, and
now it should just be a knee, right?
Yeah. And heading towards the end of the season,
Yeah, this is it for me. Are you? I might go to the
SCFNL.
Yeah,
I'd love to have you on.
Yeah. Are you doing that game as well?
Broadcasting, yeah.
Very cool. Now, how many of these athletes will be playing in that one?
A handful.
You're allowed to play in how many?
10. You're allowed to play in 2. Well, this year it was only 2, but years before it was only 2. It's going to be a handoff to a lineman tackled in the backfield.
And that should be the ball game.
Yeah. So the SDFNL All-Star Game is going to be the girls' game first, the men's game second. That game is going to be held at Mission Bay. That will be taking place next Friday.
And then you switch over to basketball, huh?
Then basketball. Then basketball, yep. Hopefully we get some Game of the Weeks. And that will do it for the 33rd annual Alex Spanos Classic. The North goes on to win their 8th game in a row, beating the South 24-8.
And to me, it was the Carson Howard show. And,
yeah.
And, a lot of people were saying, well, why is he up on the Silver Pigskin podium? I think you saw why. One, he was there because the people wanted him there. But secondly, he has every bit the athletic ability to deserve to be on that podium. And I feel a little vindication watching his performance tonight.
Carson Howard, our MVP of the game, MVP for the North Side. And for the South Side, Jackson Daniels, the only touchdown given to him. He had at least 6 or 7 receptions on the night. He was definitely the go-to receiver. He was our PPR two-way player of the game. We saw Jerome Roberts have an impact. There's a reason why we have those award shows. And
right.
Some people do complain, maybe the best didn't win or you didn't have this right player. But in the end, the All-Star game didn't disappoint in that fashion.
Well, I mean, Akili Smith Jr. was our underclassman of the year, was voted All-CIF right alongside Julius Sand. So, I mean, I don't know. We're picking 3 weeks in front of all these people, and it seems like...
Well, that's the downside, too. Is, you get a guy like Brady Palmer who had a great end of the year, but he came out the gate slow. So,
right.
It was just one of those unfortunate things.
For us, it's a regular season award. For them, postseason counts.
Right.
Hence, Sweetwater's Coach of the Year. He wasn't.
We can talk about so many coaching vacancies. You ever see head coaching in your future?
No, I don't think I'll be wanting.
That's a selfless job right there.
Yeah.
There's no harder job in this world, I don't think, than leading a program 365 days a week.
We did a rather controversial interview with Ron Gladnick, but I thought one thing he said that wasn't controversial at the end of our podcast, which everyone should check out. He talked about how coaches here in California are the most unprotected class of employees in the school system, simply because it's impossible to remove a teacher. Coaches can be removed willy-nilly. They put in the most hours and are most undercompensated employees in the school, and yet they have these highly visible, important jobs. And as John Carroll will tell you, being a head coach, your football program is the front porch to your school, to the entire community. And if that front porch is appealing, it brings kids in, and it brings kids in all, academically and athletically.
Well, that will put a wrap on this game. North beats the South for their 8th win in a row, winning 24-8. For my booth partner, Paul Rudy, as always, thank you for coming by. Much appreciated. Pablo Espinal, Tim Gunn, Kevin Bear, and Tristan Lopez. I'm Bo Furtick signing off. Thank you. Are we turning inside? We're doing a booth shot. All right. Well, as Paul Rudy hides the experience of many, many years on the Prep Picks Report, these All-Star games come full effect. This is the All-Star season. It's nice to see these players play against the top level, and some of them just shine like Carson Howard.
And for some, this might be the last. In life, you're stamped with how many. When you come off the factory, you're going to play 22 tackle football games. You might only play 3. Everybody has a different number, and for some of these guys, their number expires today. Yeah. And if this is their last tackle football experience, the fact that we had no serious injuries and it's special.
Well, Carson Howard, if that's him, he ended one on a good note, the way you want to end.
Yeah, I think though he's going to get some more opportunities. Yeah. But I bet you at least a third of those guys out there will never play another organized tackle football game again. So, and for that, God bless. That's the bulk of athletes. Yeah. Or we're so used to dealing with the 1% and 3%ers that we forget about most of them are like me, that you're going to...
Well, Paul, most of them are not like you. You're one of a kind, my friend. For my booth partner, Paul Rudy, I'm Bo Furtick. Tristan Lopez on the field, well in the booth. Our cameraman, Tim Gunn and Kevin Bear, and our producer, Pablo Espinal, the man who puts Cali Photo Sports Network on the map. I'm Bo Furtick signing off, saying thank you. Until next week, we'll catch you at the SDFNL All-Star Game here on the Cali Photo Sports Network.